Hi guys, welcome back to Rays of Tarot and welcome if you're new. My name is Stella and in today's pick a pile reading, we are asking your person's higher self what it is that you need to know currently about your person, about yourself with regards to your connections. So what I mean exactly with higher self, it is basically the version of self that is the most aligned with one's heart and soul's truth. AKA the version of self that is not bound by negative patterns, negative beliefs, and that is not acting out of fear, that does not act out of anxiety, that does not act according to the brain's chatter, but basically that is just aligned with the truest, most pure version of self. And that is also the version of self that basically acts and exists according to the highest good of all involved. I hope that makes sense. So what we're going to do in every pile is basically we're going to do a little bit of an energy check first with some pre-shuffled oracles, and the top row of cards will indicate your person's higher self or 5D energy, if you will. And then the bottom row of cards is going to indicate basically the 3D, so like the human person version, how they're showing up in like on planet Earth as a person, if that makes sense. So like their 3D energy. And then after that, we're going to dive into the tarot. And the top row of the tarot is basically going to be what your person's higher self wants you to know about your person. And the bottom row of the cards is going to indicate to us what your person's higher self wants you to know about yourself with regards to the connection. And then at the end, we are going to take some advice for you about the connection and some spirit animals. And I think that's all that I have to say about that. So yeah, as per usual, it's more than normal to be called to more than one pile, and the energy check, so at the beginning of the video, that's definitely meant for you to confirm whether that's your pile or not, and you should be able to find your person's energy in that first section of the reading. And yeah, so for the piles today, we have the Radiant Wilds Tarot with this beautiful citrine cluster, and I hope my camera is going to focus. Oh god, yeah, there you go. Then for pile number two, for pile number two, we have the Moonchild Tarot with this champagne calcite. And then for pile number three, we have the Fifth Spirit Tarot with this pirite crystal. Pirite stone. I'm not entirely sure this is officially categorized as a crystal. It's a mineral. So yeah, as per usual, feel free to pause the video, sit with the crystals and the piles. Also feel free, as per usual, to leave me a comment down below saying hi, and letting me know how your piles are resonated with you, as it means everything to me to know how my readings land on the other side of the screen. And also feel free to leave a like and subscribe, as that really helps with the algorithm and the channel, and all the disclaimers. The disclaimers are listed down below in the description. Always use your discernment, and yeah, thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in your pile. Hi pile one, if you chose the beautiful citrine crystal cluster as well as the Radiant Wilds Tarot, this is going to be reading all about messages that your person's higher self has for you at this time, about you, about your person, about this connection, all the things that you need to know at this time. So there is a more specific breakdown and in-depth explanation in the intro of this video about what I mean exactly with higher self, as well as everything that we're going to do in this reading. But if you're just rolling with it, or if you have already watched the intro, by all means, we're just going to dive straight into it. First, we're going to look into your person's higher self energy, and then into your person's 3D, like human actual energy in which they show up as a human being on this planet. So for your person's higher self energy, we have that should be number 59, the red and white rose. Then we have I Remember, Soul Plan, the Fated Life versus the Destiny Life. Then we also have number 6, And this card is meant to represent what your person's higher self is kind of trying to nudge your person towards. And this is number 15 with sensitivity. And then for your person's 3D human energies, they are coming through with the Village, number 41. Then we have 2 astrology cards. This is the 7th house with profound relationships, intimacy, and romantic partnerships. We have the 1st house with individuality, self-image, and approach to life. We have the diamond ray with diamond light body, high frequency activations, planetary grid work with the element of air. And this card is meant to represent something that your person is struggling with about this connection that they might not be explicitly revealing. And then this card from the Aries Oracle is meant to represent your person's current energy towards you. And we have number 13, or for numerology, with the Heart Eater. Now, starting by pointing out zodiac signs that could potentially be relevant. We do have the 1st house, which is ruled by Aries, and the 7th house, which is ruled by Libra. And number 6, which is the 6th zodiac sign of the zodiac is Virgo. Then we have some air, which is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. And that's all that I'm getting for now. Yes, and I'm getting specifically for some of you, this person might have like their south node and north node on the Aries and Libra axis. So having, for instance, like the south node in Aries and the north node in Libra, or vice versa, or something like that. It doesn't have to be. This is just something specific that came through. But okay, so where do we even start? Yeah, holy crack. Where do we even start? So there's a lot of things. This person is, let me start by saying that this person, like their human self, might not be entirely like very closely in touch with their higher self. And what I mean with that is that they might be just operating a lot of the time according to their brain, according to their fears and anxieties. They might really struggle with, they might be struggling like with mental health or just like negative thought patterns and negative belief systems that they kind of like reinforce and reiterate and perpetrate on themselves like throughout the years, like throughout their life. And I'm getting that for a lot of you, this is because wouldn't surprise me if this person had like parents who either like separated at some point, or who, if they are together, parents that don't have like a very positive or like very loving, beautiful relationship with each other. There's definitely something about trauma around relationships, which I mean, that's obviously a very vague statement because all traumas are, or most traumas I want to say, are about relationships. But there's something about this person kind of like having, not really being able to see the beautiful things within themselves, as well as, it's like this person is watching life through the opposite of rose-colored glasses. And yeah, they might be observing life and you and your connection through kind of like their trauma lens. I'm definitely getting a lack of structure, because I feel like I want to say a lot of different things and I'm kind of going all over the place, and there's no like, what I said doesn't really, or at least how I said it, it doesn't feel like it flows very well. So this person definitely might be struggling with like a chaotic or racing mind. Very anxious vibes for sure. And they definitely might also be struggling, or at least like they might tend to keep their feelings and emotions bottled up. Like they might just not be very expressive when it comes to their emotions and their feelings and their fears and anxiety specifically. So if you know that this person struggles a lot with anxiety, for instance, but they don't really talk about it that often, then this is an extra confirmation that this is that you found your pile about your person, because this is definitely someone who kind of like turns inward to like an almost detrimental extent. I'm getting like Hermit in reverse vibes. So like what your person's higher self is trying to do mainly is trying to awaken your person to the fact that they do have a higher self. Like they're trying to align your person's conscious awareness to their higher core, like heart, soul's values. Because again, I feel like this person is not really they doubt themselves a lot. Like if they do desire a beautiful love, if they do desire being successful, if they do desire being happy, if they do desire beautiful things, like, which of course they do, that it's natural to have like desires for higher beautiful things, as it's natural and normal to have like fears and anxieties about like, you know, more negative things. So this person obviously does have a deep desire for love and connection, because I will get into that in a bit. But they're so terrified of it. And I'm getting that this person specifically might struggle with like, what is it called? It's that attachment style that is like both anxious and avoidant. So they kind of keep themselves stuck in like an in-between place. There's a lot of doubting oneself. And there's a lot about this person really struggling to receive love because they don't believe. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if this person like came in very like fiery and kind of like a force of nature and kind of like super enthusiastic. This is definitely, by the way, romantic, needless to say, but this is definitely, it wouldn't surprise me if this was like a situationship of some sort, or if this was like a flirtationship or like a friendship that was kind of like, looks like it might be developing into something more, but then this person like retreats. Or something like that, because this person kind of like, they might have, I'm seeing like waves, so like they might just move in waves. Sometimes like when they're up, everything is good, everything is well, but then like it's just like 1 second later they're kind of like stuck in their negative thoughts and negative self-beliefs and negative patterns, essentially, in which they see the world completely through like a darker lens. And they feel like there's no point, like they shouldn't open up because they're going to get disappointed anyways, and like love doesn't last anyways, and they're going to get hurt anyways, so what's the point? And this is definitely not their truth, because their hearts and higher self's truth is very, very different. There's definitely, with this red and white rose, this first house and seventh house energies coming through in the village, and the heart eater, there's definitely something about this person really being afraid of enmeshment and codependency within a romantic type of love. Like they really operate from a place in which they feel like they need to protect themselves, rather than operating from a place of empowerment and of like inspired action. This person might get surges of like, yes, I want to do something with you, and like I want to invite you to places, and like I want to spend time with you, but then they either retract or like they just like disappear right after, because it's kind of like they get overwhelmed, and they're not used to acting from like indeed like inspired action. They're more of a cautious, overthinking type of person, and they really struggle perhaps with boundaries, or like perhaps with like even understanding what is their energy and what is your energy, what is their energy and what is other people's energies. Definitely also getting a little bit of like people pleaser vibes, and not in the sense that they will act in ways to please others, but they likely will not speak up if something is not right, if that makes sense. I hope this is making sense, because I feel like it's very, very chaotic for as it's coming through. And this is because this person has a very, very strong, very strong struggle. I don't know why it came through like that, but they struggle a lot with focusing. They struggle a lot with like keeping the focus on the things that matter. That's it. There you go. That's what I was trying to explain. Because they might have glimpses of like their heart's truth, of love, and of the fact that they don't need protection all the time, because their past is their past, and they can create something better for themselves, and they can act in ways that are empowered and then make them feel good, and then they get to go after what it is that they desire, which includes you, since this is, you know, your person's higher self coming through to deliver messages to you about this person, about the connection, about you. But this person really has struggle focusing, like keeping the focus on viewing things in a more positive light, or like in a more objective light, because they do definitely have the tendency of catastrophizing everything. it's like they get this glimpse, this little peek into, oh, this is actually okay. Like this, we can actually make something beautiful, me and pile one. We can actually make this work. We can actually make it like a safe type of connection with each other, whatever shape it will take. And we can enjoy each other. We can enjoy time together. We can do things together. We like this is fine. They might get like a little glimpse into the fact that this connection can be something beautiful, and then it doesn't have to be catastrophic. But then all these other like voices and negative thoughts, truthfully, these fears and these anxieties come creeping in and kind of like they take over, and they kind of like lose that glimpse of positivity that they had. So it's really hard for this person in the 3D, like this person, to stay focused and to stay in touch with their higher self, and to stay in touch with energies like hope and inspired action and proactivity and like optimism, essentially. They definitely might, I just heard nihilism, so this person might be rather nihilistic. They might, this person might be strong, like very much into literature. Specifically, I'm getting like classic French literature, because I was getting Albert Camus and what is the other one? I'm getting strong vibes of like absurdism, or whatever those movements are called, and like existentialism, nihilism, all that fun stuff. So this person is definitely a very deep thinker, but I feel like they have a very, very brilliant mind. They have a very brilliant mind, but they kind of like focus all of their energy into their mind. Like they have a very, very active mental body, if that makes sense. Like all of their, how they're showing it to me right now is kind of like all of this person's body's energy is kind of like focused into their mind, rather than being into their body and being present into the present moment. So like they're everywhere but here. They're like in the past and they're in the future. Like they're like thinking about all the hurt from the past, and they're thinking about everything that could go wrong in the future. And I'm getting that they have a very, very beautiful, strong heart, and this is kind of like what their 5D self is trying to awaken them to. This card is, I remember, soul plan, the fated life versus the destiny life. Like they feel, your person might feel like they're fated to have failures in love, or like to fail just in general. Like they don't really believe in themselves, and whenever they do have like a positive desire, like when they do have like the craving of achieving something, whatever it is, they might just kind of like talk themselves down. And that's possibly because maybe just like some residual inner parental voices from their childhood that they might just keep carrying within themselves, like internalized father figure words, or like internalized mother figure words. I'm getting more strongly like father figure, parental trauma in this case. Could definitely very well be some other type of like caregiver, or like even teachers or something. But what their higher self is trying to push this person towards is to being more in touch with their heart, like being gentle and soft. And we have the number 6, which is the number of divine love, of nurturing, of caregiving, of caretaking, which is also a very motherly type of number. And it's all about learning what to give, like how to give and receive in a balanced and equal way, which is also interesting because we have house 1 and house 7, which are literally just like the opposite. I'm not entirely sure what the astrological actual words for that is, but like they're opposite signs. So like Aries and Libra, they're like the opposite signs. It wouldn't also surprise me if this person had like in their birth charts their sun and their moon in opposite signs. So that would be Virgo and Pisces, or like Aries and Libra, or Leo and Aquarius, something like that. It doesn't have to be. But there's definitely something about this person not trusting their heart, whereas their heart has been trying to, their heart and their higher self, obviously those are aligned, because the higher self is basically just like the most free and unconditionally loving version of the self that exists already within each and every one of us. We're just, how we act into the world is like based off of conditioning and just like layers and layers of false belief systems and insecurities and traumas, and just it's kind of like the higher self is seated within, like at the center of each being, and then around it there's all these layers of other different things. And in order to align with your higher self, you just need it's easier said than done. Like it's hard work. I'm not saying that it's just a matter of it's a matter of peeling back the layers and looking at your fears and your anxieties and looking at what they have to tell you about your truth. Because if you have a fear of intimacy, it essentially means that you desire it so strongly. But because you desire it so strongly, because you have had disappointments in the past, and because you've had so much hurt from trying to get into intimacy or like trying to achieve that intimacy, that you're kind of like reluctant or resistant to even try to pursue that thing. But like having a fear or like an anxiety about something like inherently also includes a strong desire for it. So I definitely feel like this person might have been resisting you. I just saw 1616. That might be a relevant number for you guys, or 77. Libra and Virgo I'm getting now, so you guys might be like a Libra and a Virgo or something. Doesn't have to be, or your moon signs. But yes, there's definitely something very, very strongly coming through with this red and white rose, this number 6, this first house, its 7th house, all these cards, truthfully. But there's definitely something about this person, first of all, having a very hard time letting love in. And honestly, not really knowing what a healthy relationship looks like, or like what a healthy give and take looks like. They might be the type of person that if they give, they might almost resent the person that they just have given something to, because they feel like something is being taken away from them. And that's, again, possibly something that is a residual of like childhood trauma, like how they were raised. They might feel obliged to give, but at the same time, they kind of like resent. There's this negative feeling around anytime that they give something, because they feel like perhaps it will not be reciprocated. They feel like they're being taken for granted. They feel like they're not being valued for what they give. And at the end of the day, they also really desire receiving love, like just receiving affectionate care, like being listened, and just receiving physical touch and like reassurance. But at the same time, it might feel so uncomfortable for them when they receive. This might definitely be the type of person who's uncomfortable receiving compliments. So like they might just get nervous and not know how to react to compliments. Because they probably don't understand why. Like they might just have a very narrow, or like not such a like in-depth understanding of where their childhood traumas, how they impact their behavior nowadays. Because there's definitely a lot of confusion, and just like this person is not. This is not at all to bash your person at all. Like this is a very, very innocent, pure type of heart energy that they're in, but they're just really, really scared and really afraid of getting hurt, essentially. And they don't trust their own ability to overcome hardships. And it's almost like they don't trust, like they feel this need of change. They feel this need of changing their ways and of changing perhaps like the surroundings, the people that they hang out with. So it wouldn't surprise me if this was like a more new connection. It doesn't have to be. You could also literally be like married or in a relationship with this person. But there's definitely something about this person being kind of stuck in their comfort zone and kind of like looping into the same old patterns and repeating these old patterns. And what your person's higher self has been trying to do all along with your person, also through this connection with you. I just heard the word triggering. So like you might be a very triggering person, or like a very triggering thing to your person in their life, because you might be, I'm not getting a lot of information. We will get that in a minute with the tarot. But you might be someone who has a lot more of an open heart. You might have gifted this person flowers, and perhaps if they are, this is a very specific message, something about red and white roses, something about the color red and white for sure. But if you have given this person flowers and they are a rather masculine presenting person, which I'm getting that they are, they have a very, very soft inner feminine that is kind of like not coming out. But like if you have gifted this person flowers, or gifted this person anything, or like given a lot to this person, they might just be they might be so deeply appreciative of it, but they also perhaps, like, it wouldn't surprise me if they haven't like expressed their gratitude to you for how gentle and caring you have been with them, because they honestly don't know how to. And they might, it's almost like this person desires intensity, But the moment that they are presented with some type of intensity, like either within themselves or like from the outside, like if you have been intensely caring towards this person, they might have been like kind of like mesmerized and in awe at how someone like you could even think of being so nice and so sweet and loving to them. But at the same time, they're like kind of scared. They're like, oh my God, what does this mean? Like how, like it's uncomfortable because they're not used to being taken care of, if that makes sense. So this person has some blockages around both receiving but also around giving. Like there's a rather unhealthy pattern, and this is not a negative judgment. This is just like, even when we use the word like toxic, it's not a negative judgment in the terms of like, oh my God, you're so toxic, oh my God, you're such a bad human for having unhealthy patterns. Like we all have unhealthy toxic patterns. It's just like an assessment of like, okay, so this energy is not healthy, it's not productive, it's not helpful. So absolutely no negative judgment towards this person or towards you at all. This is just to say this person has a rather unhealthy relationship with both receiving and giving. So they're kind of like stuck within themselves. They might definitely not be very receptive to your energy. A lot of the time, like you might have had glimpses of like, oh, okay, so this person, like there is something here, but a lot of the time it might just be kind of like, I just heard like on the verge of disconnect. So that there might be this feeling of like, okay, so what the hell's going on? Like, what is this? If you have been confused by this connection, that's because this person is deeply confused about themselves and where to go and what to do and how to resolve these blockages, and how to approach you essentially. Yeah, and in general, this person might just struggle with a very deeply negative inner dialogue most of the time. And whenever something like a positive glimpse comes through, look at how similar these cards are. Like we literally have like a rose and just like rays. Rays of tarot. Rays of thing, just like rays radiating outwards from this rose. So this your person's higher self is trying to let your person's heart bloom, but it's almost like your person is just too scared. This heart eater is all about like eating your own heart and kind of like being hard on yourself. Like anytime that you, let me just read it from the booklet because it's short anyway. Oh God. I feel like it will do a way better job than explaining this. This is a bomb oracle. I love it so much. Aries oracle. It's an indie deck. Number 13. 13. There you go. So, the Heart Eater. Yikes. I know we can't be too excited about running into this character, but it's possible that this Heart Eater is misunderstood. She is not here to eat your heart, she eats her own. In a fit, she knows not what she does. Exactly, that confusion about, I don't even know why I act the way that I act. So this person might have lashed out at you. This person might be cold or just not very responsive to you. They might, a lot of the time, just like act in ways that are just like, just not nice. That's how it's coming through to me. Just like, yeah. She gets in such a state of uncomfortable feelings and confusion that she destroys her own heart. And this is literally what this person is doing. Let's take a moment to learn a lesson from her. She was so overwhelmed by her feelings of anxiety, discomfort, loneliness, and undirected energy that she turned her rage on herself. Let us all be nice to ourselves and our hearts when we are feeling like our emotions are caving in on us. Our hearts are powerful and can send their healing energy throughout the whole body, including our mind. Talk to your heart today, out loud or not, and say 3 nice things to it. So yeah, that's your person's energy in a nutshell, essentially. And what your person's higher self has been trying to do is kind of like awakening your person to their heart's truth. But it's almost like your person is not listening. Like they're just scared of their heart. They're scared of these emotions because they don't trust them. And again, like they struggle with seeing the brighter side of things. So it's really hard for them to 222 might be a relevant number. Yeah, they, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't remember what I was saying. Oh, they might be struggling to see like the positive things about situations and themselves. This is rather dark and sad energy pile one, I'm not gonna lie. So yeah, just be aware that this is not your responsibility. It's not your fault. This is definitely like way bigger than this connection. This is like, if you have triggered this person, if your person has been like negative or like not so nice or not so caring towards you, do be aware that this is literally not your fucking, sorry, shouldn't be swearing. It's not, this is way bigger. Like, this energy is it goes way beyond this connection that this person has with you. So don't take it personally, because it really is not. And this person has immense potential for beauty and for love, and just for building something that is mutually beautiful, mutually loving, I would say. But they're definitely not quite there yet, at least not in this moment. Yeah, but let's see what your person's higher self wants to say to you about, so we're going to do 2 rows of cards. First row of cards on the top is going to be what your person's higher self wants you to know about your person, and the bottom row of cards is going to indicate what your person's higher self wants you to know about your connection and you. Basically, the second row of cards is also meant to represent how your person's higher self sees you and how they perceive you. So hopefully you will be able to have a little bit more clarity about the role that you play into this person's journey. I hope that makes sense. But yeah, we can just roll with it. And then afterwards, we're going to take spirit animals that might be relevant to your connection, and spirit animals that your person's higher self might be showing up to you as an advice. Now I'm going to do 2 more shuffles. One more, because that was not satisfying. There you go. Okay, so Pile 1's person's higher self. What do you need Pile 1 to know about this person? So we have the moon. Yes. Yeah. So there's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of subconscious patterns that this person is either they're not aware of, or they just have a hard time bringing them into the light and transforming them. The moon, I believe it's a Pisces ruled card in the tarot, but it always gives me just like all the water sign vibes. It gives me also like Cancer vibes, because Cancer is ruled by the moon in astrology, and Scorpio, because the moon card has big Scorpio vibes to it. So, but let's see, what else do you need Pile 1 to know? We have the 3 of Swords in reverse and the Magician. I'm going to take a clarifier for the Magician a bit, but what else do you need Pile 1 to know about their person, please? What do you need Pile 1 to know about their person? What do you need Pile 1 to know about their person, please? We have the Queen of Cups, and on the bottom of the deck right now we have the Ace of Wands in reverse. And can I have a clarifier about this Magician, please? What does Pile 1 need to know about their person? What about this Magician? So they're definitely not telling you everything that they feel or experience about your connection, or even there's something about you not being aware of everything that happened to them, if that makes sense. So we have the 5 of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck, and we have the Ace of Pentacles in reverse and the 3 of Pentacles in reverse to clarify the Magician. Can you guys see all the cards? Yes, beautiful. So yes, it wouldn't surprise me if this person had big Scorpio vibes, because it's hard to read their energy, I'm not gonna lie. This person doesn't really trust. They feel like they have to do everything on their own. Like, they might also like suffer from hyper independence. And that's again because that they are afraid of feeling, they might have like a fear of feeling belittled, or like of feeling needy, or of feeling needed even. They might not have, they just really, really struggle with like interdependent relationships. And that's possibly like, they possibly have had some heartbreak in the past that they haven't really healed, like fully healed from, which again, there's no such thing as fully healing from anything. It's always a journey, and it's always peeling back layers upon layers upon layers. But there's definitely something about this person having had some heartbreak in the past, like a very, very, perhaps like a years long relationship, or like even a marriage for those of you this resonates with. But there's definitely something about past heartbreak in which it was just a very, very toxic type of relationship in which there was a lot of enmeshment and codependency, and this person was perhaps kept like in, I'm getting devil card vibes right now, in which this person might have just been restricted too much, or almost like lost their own identity because they were so like, you know, when you're with a person for like a long time and you're kind of like identifying, perhaps they were like living with someone, or they were just spending a lot of time with someone, with this person, with this past partner, and it's almost like their identities kind of like melted, or like perhaps this past, like this ex of theirs really expected them to just like agree and go with everything that they said, kind of like, so that they kind of like expected them to mold and, oh, okay. So I do feel like this person is coming to a lot of realizations about where their childhood trauma, like just their relationship trauma in general, comes from. And I feel like this person might have had a pattern that showed up both in their childhood, like when it comes to their parents, how their parents were with each other, and or how their parents were with them, like with your person, as well as in past relationships. And that is, it's almost like this person, your person, struggled finding their own identity because they always had to like subscribe to other people's values and wishes and wants and needs. It's definitely coming across as if this person has a hard time speaking up for themselves, which I believe I mentioned at the beginning. They have a hard time even recognizing what their own boundaries are. They perhaps feel like they owe people something, and that's why they might have a very hard time, like a really troubled relationship with giving, or like with doing things for people, or just like with kindness, with showing kindness to people. I'm getting they were criticized a lot for having their own, yeah, okay, so it's making a lot of sense. So this person is definitely very, very sensitive, very, very deeply sensitive, but they might have had learned to manipulate how they talk to people, how they showed up to people with like masks, or just like shifting and shaping their personality in order to please and appease others, because otherwise they would have gotten like criticized or like shunned, or perhaps like abandoned, with this Five of Pentacles card coming through. And it's almost like this person doesn't really know almost who they are, because like they might be at a time in life in which they need to figure out who they are first before they are even able to like understand indeed like their boundaries, so like their wishes and wants and their needs and what they don't want, and like their non-negotiables, or like I don't even feel like this person is focused on what they want and don't want in a romantic relationship, because they first need to understand what it is that they want to do with their own life. And they perhaps there's a lot of like heart healing that this person is needing to do, and perhaps they're like a little bit reluctant because it's so heavy and so intense for them, and perhaps even like very fresh. So they would rather focus perhaps on other things, or just like keep things lighter because it's just so intense and so heavy. I'm getting a feeling that it's not working out like very well for this person, because these patterns do keep repeating, especially if they have like feelings or attraction towards you, but they also have resistance. So like there's this push and pull, and I mean this situation is also happening for a reason for them, because it's kind of like they have to face, yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if this person like got out of a relationship and then kind of like thought, okay, I'm going to focus on myself and focus on my healing and on my growth and on getting the bag and like having fun and going to concerts and whatnot, but then you kind of like came in and they were like, oh holy crap, like oh my god, what do I do with this? Like I like pile one and I want something with pile one because I do feel this call, but at the same time I wasn't looking for this, I wasn't ready, I'm not ready. There's definitely that feeling. Queen of Cups is Cancer energy. Magician is Gemini and Virgo. Mercury energy. Yeah, there's What else? Or should I pull more cards, Spirit? Yeah, this person doesn't really, they feel like they can't rely on people. They feel like this might definitely be the type of person who's like, oh, I don't need anyone. And I read or heard a quote that said something along the lines of, every person who says that they don't need anyone is someone who at some point in life needed someone, but no one was there, or like no one showed up, or like they just showed up in harmful ways, if that makes sense. And I'm also getting that quote of, every cynic is a dreamer, like is a disappointed dreamer, or a disappointed idealist, or like a idealist with shattered dreams, or something like that. You're getting the point, pile one. Can I have a clarification on this Queen of Cups, please, about pile one's person? What is it that pile one needs to know about their person? Pile one's person's higher self. Okay, please clarify this Queen of Cups about pile one's person, please. What about that Queen of Cups? That is too many cards. Just gonna put them back and shuffle them in. What about that Queen of Cups, please? Will you please clarify that Queen of Cups for pile one's person that pile one needs to know about? Yeah, it's almost like fantasizing or like thinking about softness and beauty, and like a loving, caring, nurturing connection at this time with you, or in general. Like fantasizing and daydreaming about it feels safer than push. It's windy outside and he's upset because he can't go on adventures. It's almost like fantasizing and daydreaming about it is safer than actually trying to go into it, because again, this person doesn't really, that's something that was coming through very strongly in the energy check, is this person might be like come across as very detached, or like half present, or kind of like disassociated. They might struggle with disassociation a lot of the time. There's something about they're not being able to focus and not being super grounded in their body and not being super present. Yeah, and a lot of repressed feelings with this Judgment in reverse. Repressed desires also is what I heard. But this person feels like they shouldn't be focusing on giving and receiving with another person at this time, although that is definitely something that they have been missing. That's what I just heard, like they have been missing possibly their entire lives. And that's why it's so scary, because they don't know what to do with it. They just don't know what the hell to do with that. They don't know how to, with that. So it's almost safer for them, or at least they think in their brains, this is like their fears and their anxieties talking, mind you. They really think that they should just focus on themselves and be independent and not have anyone to like, they don't want to like have to take anyone into consideration. They don't want to be dependent on by anyone, and they don't want this kind of like, it's kind of like they're avoiding, they're in their avoidant type of stage. And avoidance is a coping mechanism for extreme anxiety. Like, you know, when you have different attachment styles, like anxious attachment style and avoidant attachment style, and then like, you know, in the middle there's also like anxious avoidant, which as I said at the beginning, this person is likely both anxious and avoidant. But whenever someone is more on the avoidant end of the spectrum, like they are avoidant because they have such anxiety that they cannot deal with it. And whenever someone has anxious attachment, it's like they're avoiding themselves because they need someone else to like provide comfort and provide solutions and resolution to their anxiety. So like it's the same thing manifesting in opposite ways. And that's why often, especially in like divine counterparts and all that fun stuff in relationships, we attract the polar opposite of ourselves so that we can have a clear mirror and see what it is that we are essentially doing as well. So yes. But essentially what I wanted to say before moving on to the next part about how your person's higher self views you and what they feel like that you need to know or hear about yourself and the connection at this time is this person at this moment is trying to not focus. They're trying to focus on themselves. They're trying to not focus on a relationship because they need to be a whole person in themselves first, which is tricky in this situation, obviously. But I feel like we need to shuffle again 4 times for some reason. We're just gonna do that. That's fine. these back. So pile one's person's higher self. How do you view pile one, and what do you feel they need to? Yeah. Okay. I need to look what this is. We have the 10 of Wands in reverse. So what is it that you feel pile one needs to know? We have the 6 of Wands in reverse. We have the 10 of Cups in reverse. What else? Don't be scared of reversals, by the way. And we have the 10 of Pentacles upright. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the 8 of Wands in reverse. So this person, pile one, at this time, the biggest thing that you need to know and that you kind of need to find acceptance and peace about is that this person needs a lot of space right now. And that's not a bad thing. Like, it's okay. This is definitely not it. If this person seems distant, that's because they just need their distance. That's because they don't have a lot to offer right now. Okay, you guys, sorry, but my camera stopped filming. I don't understand, because I used to be able to film without interruptions, and now for some reason it just stops filming, even though I do have memory on my card. Anyways, I will just repeat whatever I said. I didn't record. I pulled a clarifier for these two cards coming through here, but I feel like I could just put it there because it was an entire message in itself. So what your person's higher self wants you to know, first and foremost, as I said at the ending of the last clip, is that this person needs a lot of space, and it's okay like that, because at this moment they don't have much to give. And if not much is happening, that's just because things are meant to be this way right now. And your person's higher self wants you to know that yes, like this is a very enthusiastic, 100% optimistic, positive yes, that yes, there is so much beautiful potential in this connection, and you have picked upon that intuitively very right. And your heart is likely much more open or awakened than this person's heart is. You might be definitely someone who acts more from their heart rather than their mind. Or like, in comparison to this person, you might act a lot more from your heart, or just trust more in your heart's wisdom. But this person is not there yet, and they have to learn. And surely if they have aligned with you in some sort of way, this is definitely, indeed, as we have seen at the beginning, this is definitely something that they are kind of like being nudged to align towards, which is their heart's truth, and kind of like act in alignment with their heart's truth. Because right now they're acting from a place of fear and anxiety, which is not to blame them at all. We have mentioned, talked about it thoroughly throughout this reading, but essentially, yes, there is so much beautiful potential for this connection. But if, like, potential is like untapped potential, if it's just untapped, if it's not manifesting in the 3D, if it's not manifesting in the real world, if it's not truly becoming something real and tangible, then there's good reasons for it. It just means that there are blockages that need to be resolved before it can actually manifest. Because if you look at the sentence, for instance, like, oh, we're meant to be together. What do you mean with we're meant to be together? So if you want to be with your person, if you want to be with this person, and you think and act accordingly to that desire, and if your person wants to be with you as well, and they act and think accordingly to that desire as well, then it will just happen. It will literally just happen, like, by default. In the same way that if you think, I want to make a fruit salad for dessert tonight, and you think and act accordingly, you're like, okay, so I want to make a fruit salad. What kind of fruits do I want in it? I want banana, I want strawberries, I want kiwis, and I want grapes. What do I have and what do I not have? Let me go to the supermarket and grab the strawberries because I'm missing those. And then I have all the ingredients for my fruit salad. Then you go to the supermarket, you grab the strawberries, you go home, you cut everything, and you put it in a bowl, and voila, you have your fruit bowl. This is to say, you don't have any resistance. There's no blockage in the way, unless you go to the store and the store is closed, or you go to the store and the strawberries are out of stock because it's like out of season or something. Like, there's no strawberries because it's out of season. It just means that there is something in the way of you manifesting that fruit bowl exactly as you want it. This is a way overly simplified example to say, if you guys both like each other and want to be together, in one way or another, but it's not happening, it just means that there are blockages that need to be resolved. And if they're not being resolved, it means that there's a resistance to them. And I mean, this is your journeys individually before you can align with each other. So if your person is experiencing some blockages and some like limiting belief patterns and beliefs and patterns and systems in play along when it comes to like romance and opening their heart, it likely also means that you two have some blockages that need to be resolved. And I'm kind of hearing you say like, oh, I've done so much healing already. Like I've come so far already. And that's very true. But the thing is, you never stop healing. And I speak like I feel you so much, because it's just like a never-ending process. And you think like, oh my God, I've healed so much. Nice. Now I can chill. Now I can have what I wanted. And then something else, like you bump into something else and like, oh my God, another roadblock. Why the hell does it keep happening? That's because you're like peeling back the layers. And sure, you might be a few layers deeper than your person, but it doesn't mean that you have literally no layers left. Like, we're all humans. We're all here to learn. We're all driving each other home or walking each other home. Driving each other home. I just saw 4, 5, 6, so that's also like a progression number. With this Fool in reverse and the World in reverse here, the Fool is like the untapped potential need. It's like the force that kicks everything forth. It's like basically this new, fresh, this leap of faith into the unknown, into a new journey. And the World is basically about like completion of this entire journey. So like the Fool is basically the start of the journey through all the other major arcana cards up until the World card, which is basically the assimilation and the integration of all lessons. And it's kind of like the ending of a cycle, which then leads to the beginning of a new cycle. So another message that is coming through from your person's higher self is like they are definitely aware that you guys are on different cycles right now. And that's also why you can't really align, because you have different lessons that you first need to learn individually before you can align with one another. So another thing that I'm hearing is like nothing has gone wrong. You're not doing anything wrong. You guys possibly are both focusing on... I'm hearing that you specifically might be focusing on currently on the wrong things. And that's not to bash you. Again, it's not a negative judgment. It's just to say like you're focusing on this person, on their journey, and on trying to understand why they can't show up, why they're afraid, and how you can make them feel safe. Whereas you perhaps also need to focus on yourself first. There's something about your person's higher self wanting you to ask yourself questions about where you're coming from so that you can understand yourself even better and show up in an even more empowered and aligned way to yourself. And there's something about compassion, but not overextending yourself. But yes, the fact that we do have the Fool in reverse and the World in reverse, it's almost like you guys haven't even started. Like you guys haven't even seen... You guys haven't seen nothing yet about this connection. And especially you, Pile 1. Like there's a lot of things that you don't know about your person. That will come out in due time. And there's a lot of things that you also don't know about yourself yet. There's a lot of things that you guys are meant to like learn from each other, from one another. But the thing is, and you guys are already doing that. Like you guys are already in the process. It's almost like the preparation. Like you guys are like in the preparation phase for the next phase, which is potentially me like connecting more to one another. But there's definitely something about... Oh God, what was it? I lost it. Oh yeah, there's something about you guys can and are learning a lot from one another, from like connecting and disconnecting with each other. But the thing is, we don't only learn from people by literally talking to them and like having hard conversations with them or just like engaging with them, interacting with them. We also literally learn from people by just observing their energy and by looking at how that makes us feel and what that triggers in us, and looking into how our energies feed into each other. And even like when there's distance and when there's no communication, that still impacts us on an energetic level. So like even when nothing is happening, a lot of things are happening on both sides. And if things are not happening in the 3D, it just means that on the 5D, or like on a more subtle level, on an emotional, on a mental, on a spiritual level, there's other things that need to be worked out before you guys both are able to meet each other. For some of you, literally to meet each other in the 3D, because I'm not sure if I mentioned this. I think I already got cut off, but for some of you, for a very, very few select of you, I'm getting that you guys might have met this person online, but you haven't met them in real life, like in the physical 3D yet. And And perhaps that might have been like a little bit of a shock for you, because perhaps you made some plans, or like you were planning, and then suddenly this person got cold overnight or something like that. And for some others, there might be like, we do have like the World card, which might be significant of, or like indicative of long distance. Take whatever resonates with you. But yeah, for some of you, I'm definitely feeling like this is not a, this is likely for most of you a relationship or like a connection that hasn't grounded yet. Like you guys might not have even ever kissed or something like that. It's very kind of like all about the potential and what could happen and what could not happen. But again, your person's higher self is coming through to say to you, yes, 100%, there is so much potential, but you guys first need to sort out some other stuff before you are able to show up in a way that is productive and positive. And yeah, it's like you guys have met each other to be confronted with the potential of what you could create and you could have together. But it's also meant to be confronted to you in a way of like showing you both individually where you need to work on yourselves and where you need to make some more progress before you're able to align with that. And this is not to say that you're not good enough, that you're not able to, or that like you should be more healed before you get into a relationship or anything like that. No, this is just to say, look, there is, I'm getting that quote by Rumi, which I feel like I mentioned a lot in my readings. That's also one of my favorite quotes ever. But it's a quote by Rumi that goes along the lines of, your task is not, it's not that of seeking love, but it's merely to seek all of the barriers that you have built against it. So make that your focus, and don't focus on what this person is doing. Don't focus on because they're walking their journey and it's likely different than yours. Like their priorities likely are different from yours for a reason. Like you are on your own individual journey and your person is on their own individual journey, and that's literally perfect as it is right now. So within yourself, perhaps focus on understanding where you're experiencing frustration and where you're experiencing anxiety and where you're experiencing perhaps like an dissatisfaction with why things are not happening right now, or like as fast as you would want them to, or like why you need communication with this person, why you need what you need. And this is not to say stop needing the things that you need, but just be inquisitive and inquire and get to know yourself better, essentially, and understand your own patterns. Because if you kind of like look at this person and think like, oh, they have so many negative patterns that are like inhibiting them and they don't even see them, then there's likely something about yourself that you don't see either. But okay, let's move into advice for you, pile one. I already shuffled the advice cards, and I have two spirit animal cards, which might be two spirit animals that your person's higher self might show up to you with. Excuse me, I had to burp there. So one is the hummingbird with miracles. You are the joy bringer. You bless the world with positivity and love. Energy soars on your shining wings. Spread the miracle of happiness. And what I'm being called to like focus on right now, hibiscus flowers might be relevant for you too, guys, but the hummingbird they're tiny teeny little birds, and their hearts beat like super fast. I don't know why that's relevant information, because I'm not getting anything else about that, but there's something about the heart for sure. And we also have the giraffe with the visionary. Rise above earthly matters, glide through life with grace. You're able to see the right path. Stand tall in your self-worth and love with a big heart. See, there's something about the heart. Like if you feel like this person is not aligned with their heart, perhaps look into where you might be able to align even more with your own heart. Because again, it's all layers. You can always go a layer deeper. And there's indeed something about like, don't forget about your humanness, but definitely look at things from a bigger picture and understanding that divine timing is a thing, and that things are happening exactly as they are meant to, and nothing has gone wrong. Things are unfolding exactly as they need to. Because in order to arrive where you want to be, you first need to be here exactly where you are. Like you're on your way, you're walking the path. Like you're not, even when you feel like nothing is happening, like you're still literally just like going on day in and day out. You're moving along this path. So it's not true that nothing is happening, because something is always happening, if that makes sense. So other advice from your person's higher self is tantric journey number 42 or 6, which again is the number of divine love. The frequency of tantric journey helps us to unlock the hidden knowledge and wisdom that we intrinsically hold about how to reach a state of wholeness and completion through our sensual experiences with ourselves and with another. So yeah, it goes together. If you can be loving within yourself, if you can cultivate unconditional love and like a positive relationship between your own inner masculine and feminine on the inside of you, it will be easier to bring that energy also out into the connection. Because essentially at the end of the day, when two people, when they get into any type of connection or relationship with each other, it doesn't have to be only romantic, but they just bring the individual energies that they exist in their individual lives in the connection. So like a connection is just like the mixing and the blending of two people's individual energies put together, essentially. There's also something about the root and sacral chakra for you, Pile 1. You might want to also just like heard Kundalini rising. So that might be some like Tantra yoga or tantric massages, things like that, or just like Kundalini yoga might be something that you might be interested in. I'm not familiar, so I have no idea, but that's just something that came through. Then we also had emerges with number 25 or 7. In numerology, the frequency of emergence invites us to approach our reality with a childlike attitude of innocence and wonderment, and to watch and celebrate the beauty that unfolds from that place. So like this, I feel specifically, this is like advice for how you could see how you could shift your attitude and like how you look at your person. So instead of looking at them through a more critical type of judgmental, and again, this is not a negative judgment towards you, Pile 1, but you might sometimes struggle with indeed also, you might share more patterns than you realize with this person. So like you might see this person from a darker perspective, while you could, while you maybe forget about the more innocent and brighter aspects, and like you kind of like also focus on only the negatives and the things that are not happening, rather than focusing on, okay, what do we have? What did we share that was beautiful? What is real and beautiful and out in the open about this connection, about this person already? And perhaps showing like maybe some like gentle, like innocent, funny, flirty, just like light-hearted conversation with this person might be very beneficial, to just lighten up the vibes and lighten up the mood, and that might be something that is beneficial for you guys at this time. Then we also have humor. I choose to focus on the lighter side of life. Exactly. So it's nice when cards just reiterate. Yeah, there might be a need for you also to not catastrophize this and to not only focus on what is not happening, because that might just be working against you, and it might make you hold like a negative energy towards your person, which might also reinforce their fear of being judged. So if you're like complaining about not hearing them or not seeing them enough, then they might either explicitly or implicitly like pick up on that energy and feel judged, and that might make them want to close up even more, if that makes sense. So definitely be aware of how you're also kind of like getting in your own way and how you're feeding negative energy into the situation, and where that is coming from within yourself, if that makes sense. Last but not least, we have release your blocks, first quadrant moon in Scorpio. So again, where should I put this? I'm just gonna put it here. It's fine. Again, be mindful and be aware of your own blockages first, and take responsibility for your blockages first, and your thought patterns and your things, and don't focus so much on this person, because you need to take care of yourself first, Pile 1. And if you align with yourself, if you make it your priority to be dedicated and devoted to yourself and to the practice of love within yourself and how you show up into the world, if you just align with yourself, then everything else will literally fall into place. And you will inspire other people by just being yourself, and you will act from inspired action. And that's how you align with yourself, and that's how the universe will literally take care of everything else, and everything else will fall into place. So Pile 1, those were the messages from your person's higher self. I really hope that you got some insight that you were needing or hoping to receive. Thank you so much for letting me read your cards. Definitely, as per usual, feel free to leave a comment down below letting me know how this reading resonated with you, as it means everything to me to know how my readings land on the other side of the screen. And also feel free to leave a like and subscribe, as that really helps with the algorithm. And thank you again so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hi, Pile 2. If you chose the Champagne Calcite as well as the Moonchild Tarot, this is going to be a reading all about what your person's higher self has to say to you. Now, there is a more in-depth breakdown about what I exactly mean with higher self and what we're going to do exactly in this reading. So definitely, if you're interested, go back and check that out if you skipped it. But if you're just rolling with it, I'd say let's just dive right into it. So first we're going to check out your person's higher self's energy. This one's supposed to be there. So without further ado, your person's higher self is coming through as the peacock tail, number 55. I'm sorry, defenselessness, righting past wrongs, uprooting, yod, and with soul family, number 36 or 9 in numerology. And then for how your person's 3D human self is coming through, we have the creator archetype with number 22. We have two of these astrology cards. First one is the 5th house with passion, play, children, confidence, and creativity. And the element of air, open-mindedness, objectivity, and learning. Let me scooch these over a little bit. I'll check in a minute if everything is in frame. Then we also have apophyllite and alchemy, cleanse. These should be the elements of water and air, if I'm not mistaken. Lifestyle choices, detox, and nourishment. And last but not least, we have number 53 or 8, make it look like the night. Now, let me see. I can switch up everything so it's more centered, more satisfying. Yes, that's better. So, pile 2. Holy crackers. I must say, this person is absolutely impressive. So much powerful energy is coming through. I must say, for some of you, there is a big chance that this is actually you, that this is actually your higher self and your you. So definitely, it's up to you if you want to like stick around if that's the case or not. You're free to check out another pile, another reading, whatever it is that you want. But yeah, just mentioning if this is you, if this is your energy coming through, it's very likely, because yeah, it's up to you to decide. Use your own discernment as per usual. But the first like zodiac signs coming through is Gemini, Libra, Aquarius with this air card over here, and the 5th house, which is ruled by Leo, and that's it for now. I'm also getting some information about possible transits that this person might be currently going through astrologically, but I will get to that in a minute, hopefully. So the first very cool thing about this pile to notice is you don't really need you don't need to be a psychic to understand that this person is kind of basically very much aligned with their higher self, because look at how similar these two cards are. Now these are both, by the way, Kin Kran's decks. This is the alchemy Wild Unknown deck, and this is the archetypes Wild Unknown deck. I love Kin Kran's decks. They're fucking amazing. Anyways, these two cards were basically the main central energy of like your person's 5D self and your person's 3D self. So as you can see, there is interesting similarities there. There is definitely a very, very big theme of this person being into alignment. Like this is definitely like they're on a path of alignment, and they're very much aware and conscious of the concept of alignment. Like they're very in touch with their higher self. They can very much distinguish between what is their higher self and like which actions, which thoughts, which emotions, which desires, which impulses are stemming from their higher self, and which ones are kind of like based in trauma and rooted in fear and anxiety. So this person is definitely working actively on, I just heard like peeling back the layers, like on working through and working back to their core center and their truth, which is love. Like this person is definitely a warrior of love. And they, whether they recognize it or not, whether they would call themselves that or not, this person is definitely a light worker. A light worker and a shadow worker, because there's definitely something about this person being very much consciously working with and working through their shadow and the darkness. Like this person is I just heard like not afraid of the dark. This person doesn't see darkness and like the color black. There's something about the color black for this person. There's something about this person not being afraid of the dark, not being afraid of the shadow. Like they're very much able to put things into perspective. And I'm noticing already that as I'm talking about this person and their higher self and their human self, there is not much of a distinction between like what their higher self is saying and what their human self is saying, because again, this person is kind of aligning or like putting a lot of conscious effort into aligning with their higher self. Like, and what this means exactly is this person in the fight in the 3D, this human person, this human version of themselves is really trying to act like essentially what alignment means is just acting in the physical world, in the 3D world, in a way that is the same as, or like that matches and that reflects the truth of your heart, the truth of your soul. I was actually talking about this with a dear friend of mine recently, and I was basically saying, like, basically reflecting on how a lot of the awakening process and a lot of like spiritual growth and like human growth is like there's a first big stage, and this is like a wild generalization. This is by no means like a all-encompassing description of spiritual journeys or truths or whatever, but like it's like first you need to identify who you truly are at your core and like differentiate between you and between what is truly you and between what is truly your truth, truly your truth and your intuition versus what are your fears and like all the burdens and like limitations and limiting beliefs and all the things that are not true about ourselves that we basically just like took on and identified with growing up by the process of socialization. For instance, like our anxieties, our insecurities, our the beliefs of the fact that we're not good enough, that we don't have enough, that we're not smart enough, that we're, you know, all those fun things. First, like there's this process of, and I'm saying this because this person has been likely going through this process themselves, and they're very aware of this. Basically, there's definitely something about a journey of them being on a journey of getting to know and empowering the self and uncovering the self and nourishing the self in a way that is genuine. There's something about authenticity and genuinity and truth about this person. But yes, basically the first step is kind of like identifying what is your true self versus what is not true about the self. So like limiting beliefs and anxieties and fears and all that. The second step is, once you have identified it, is kind of like working through all those layers, which are indeed like the fears and anxieties and negative self-talk and all those things. Working through those layers in a way that allows you to be indeed like more focused and more centered. It's like basically like coming back to yourself. It's a journey of coming back to the self. And once you have come back to the self, and once you have identified and feel strongly centered in your true self, which also has a lot to do about the third eye, because that's also matters of the third eye, of recognizing what is truth and what is Maya, what is the veil of illusion. The next step is to basically act and show up in a way that is aligned with that truth in the 3D. So this person is definitely busying themselves with that, essentially. And there's also something very, very strongly coming through about like ancestral trauma. This person is probably consciously working through the traumas that have been the traumas and dysfunctions and patterns that basically have been passed on to them generationally speaking. So there's definitely something about this person might be have Taurus in their 4th house. There's something about this person might have either, there's a lot of activity in their 4th house and or 11th house. For some of you, I'm getting also like the 10th house. Doesn't have to be, it could be either that their natal chart has a lot of activity, planets or placements in their 4th house, 11th house, and 10th house. Or I'm getting for some of you, either Pluto is currently transiting there, and Pluto is currently, as I'm filming this reading, but these are timeless readings, so definitely take that for your time period in which you have found this reading personally. Pluto is currently retrograded in Capricorn, and Jupiter is currently transiting the 4th house. So they definitely might have Capricorn and or Taurus in their 4th or 11th or 10th house, if that makes sense. There's also something about this person taking responsibility. It's interesting also, by the way, to notice that we do have like the creator and the word creativity. So there's definitely something about this person. They might be some type of they're definitely doing things differently than what their families have been used to, perhaps. I'm getting black sheep of the family type of vibes. They might be the first person in their lineage in a long time to actually like speak the truth about certain things, or to do things very differently, or to like break cycles around like lack mentality, or to break cycles around like lying within their family line, or about like patterns around the concept of lack of boundaries or codependency or distrust or I'm getting for some of you, there is something about like financial abuse, which I'm not personally very familiar with, but that's something that came through. So definitely if that's a message for you, take that as a confirmation that this is your pile about this person that you're currently dealing with and asking about. But this person is definitely seeking to understand what is their responsibility and what is not, if that makes sense. So they're definitely trying to, how do I explain this, Spirit? There might be some things within their family, with their parents or with other family members that they're kind of like needing to talk about, needing to process. And it's either a matter of, with this I'm sorry, uprooting, writing past wrongs card coming through. There's something about them taking responsibilities for their faults and making amends. There's definitely something very big about making amends, which might also ripple into your connection. So they might be becoming aware of where they went wrong and what they kind of did that was either unhealthy or like some patterns that they have like projected onto you potentially. But we will look into that in a minute while we go into the tarot with the specific messages that your person's higher self wants to give to you about your person and about you and the connection. But there's definitely something about this person, on the one hand, really getting clear on what it is that they are responsible for, so the wrongs that they have done onto other people, and kind of like healing their own negative patterns. And I'm hearing like negative thoughts and negative self-beliefs that are leading them to behave in like wrong or hurtful ways onto others. But also they are really setting strong boundaries around what is not their fault. So what is not their fault and what is their responsibility, which is essentially a very strong component of healing and of childhood trauma healing, and indeed also ancestral trauma. So basically identifying what is basically what has been passed onto you in a deterministic type of way, and also identifying where you are responsible and when you actually do have power to take the situation and your own mental and spiritual and emotional well-being and physical well-being. There's definitely something about like physical well-being too, into your own hands, and changing that and kind of like changing the pattern, disrupting the pattern and making something better out of it. There's definitely something about alchemizing the darkness and the shadow into the light. And with these two cards, the Peacock's Tail and the Creator, there's something about shifting perspective. We also have open-mindedness. I'm getting Sagittarius, but also 9th house might be very relevant for this person. This person might have their sun in the 9th house. Doesn't have to be Sagittarius energy, could be relevant. But there's definitely something about this person is expanding like exponentially. And it's almost like they went through an awakening of some sort, but this is kind of like, this person is on the other side of the darkness right now. So this person, it's almost like this person has inherited a lot of darkness from their, I'm getting like, it's interesting because I feel like this person is very much aware also about what is like the collective unconscious of humanity in itself. So there might be working with patterns and traumas that are not only about their, like not only pertaining to their own family, but they might be very aware of how all of humanity is kind of dealing with those energies. So for instance, like wounds about abandonment and like trust issues and lack mentality, indeed. Like there's something about the 4D, this person might be a channeler also, being some kind of guide, some kind of person who maybe channels collective wisdom and collective shadows and collective energies and patterns through, or like into art, or like there's something about music. I'm getting handpan vibes, or like some type of more alternative or like more ancient type of instruments. So like maybe flutes or like percussions that are not the classical modern instruments, if that makes sense. They also could definitely be like a classical normal traditional, what am I saying? I don't know. This person could be making music in some type of way, or like they could be singing, they could be writing, they could be channeling wisdom and knowledge into any type of art or creation. It doesn't have to be like actual art, or like yeah, they could literally be like a business owner, or they could be some type of leader. They could make courses of some sort. They might be like a life coach or something like that. They might own a restaurant. There's something about them. Definitely leader energy, leader and creator energy. Like they're not just going with the flow. And if they're not already or like they're not going with the mainstream. That's what I'm saying. This person is definitely going off the beaten, they're going off the beaten path. Oh my God. And if they're not already, there's definitely the desire to do this, because there's this expansion, this desire for expansion, and this kind of like ability of them to see things from different perspectives. It's almost like this person is working through looking at things and looking at themselves and looking at their emotions and their thoughts from not only their own individual, like inside of their brain type of perspective, but also looking at it from a different objective perspective. So they also might be working with some type of guru. They might be working with some type of teacher or mentor or of some kind. This person might be definitely, doesn't have to be for everyone, this is just like examples, but they might be getting like astrological readings like in depth, or they might be getting personal tarot readings about their life purpose, or something like that. This person is definitely investing in their growth, investing in their spiritual expansion, and investing in, like, they have a very strong masculine sense of focus. Like they're definitely kind of headed in this specific direction, which they might know or they might not know exactly what their kind of like end goal is at this time, which, I mean, there's no such thing as one end goal. I mean, you could say it's love and it's expansion, and whatever way that looks practically is going to be different for everyone, but there's definitely a very strong and clear sense of direction for this person, and a sense of, I'm healing myself and I'm healing my family line and I'm healing humanity, if that makes sense. Let me see. Oh, it's interesting because we do have a apophyllite here, which is literally this stone right here. Little synchronicity over there. There's also definitely, this person might be strongly into perhaps, okay, so take this if it resonates. This could be a metaphor. This could be a literal example for some of you watching this pile, but this person they might be someone who is changing habits around like food and literal like physical health within their family. They might come, and again, this is not going to resonate for everyone, but they might have grown up in a family that had very poor eating habits. I'm seeing currently physically like kind of like an overweight family, like where everyone in the family is kind of like dealing with overweight or like other types of like physical ailments that are not necessarily, well, they could be genetically passed on, but even that genetically passed on, it's, you know, trauma and patterns, they literally reside within the DNA and within, like, at a cellular level. And that's why, yeah, this person might be needing a lot of sleep or like a lot of alone time, because when you're doing ancestral healing, it's literally like shifting and alchemizing things at a cellular DNA level. So it takes a lot of effort and energy from the body to kind of like adjust and update that. So, and sleep is one of the best healing, one of the best physical healing things that we have access to, if that makes sense. 18 might be a relevant number for you guys or for this person. By the way, we do have 55 and 22, so there's definitely something about this person also changing how people relate. They're definitely, they might be very much working on how they relate to people, like on connections, and this, they're very aware that this starts within them. Like I'm thinking about what our Lord and Savior J. Cole says in one of his songs. It's the only real change comes from inside. This person is really starting with the man in the mirror, as a Lord and Savior Michael Jackson said. They're starting with the man in the mirror because they know that whether they're a man, a woman, or they them, it doesn't matter, but they're starting with themselves, with their inner transformation. Like they know that they have to change on the inside in order to bring about change on the outside. And there might definitely be something about this person being into physically cleansing their body. I'm getting specifically also like psychedelic or like plant medicines, Kambo specifically. Doesn't, if you know, you know. I'm not gonna explain what it is. If you know what it is, then it's probably your message. If not, leave that, it's fine. Yeah, this person might definitely be into singing or into humming, into mantras, into speaking. Yeah, this person might be a very powerful, what's the word, orator? A powerful speaker, a powerful public speaker. And there's definitely some type of, they might be very persuasive. I'm feeling like they also might have Mercury in the fifth house. Doesn't have to be. Or they might have Leo Mercury. Could be anything, truthfully. Oh, and with this peacock, there's definitely some Juno and Jupiter energy. Again, I do strongly feel, and in other readings, I would explain it, but in this pile specifically, I feel like I can mention certain things that are very specific, and if the person, like, if you watching this don't know what it is, then it's probably just not your message, and if you know what it is, then it is your message. Just so if you know Juno and Jupiter, what that's about, then confirmation, big time. If not, it's not your message. But there's definitely something about Juno energy and Jupiter energy coming through within this person. Yeah, there's definitely something about this person also being consciously working with their masculine and their feminine energies, because we do have strong creative and psychic energy, and a lot about wisdom, but also a lot about direction and leadership. This person is so awesome. Oh my God. And last thing that I feel the need to mention is that this person knows that they know nothing. Just a quick thing that came by. And they also are definitely aware of the fact that they have to take care of both their spiritual and emotional and inner kind of like energetic well-being, but also they need to take care of their body, and they also really need to show up in the physical world. Like they might be coming out of a hermit phase of their life, in which they had been doing a lot of inner work, indeed, and a lot of shadow work and a lot of childhood work, perhaps, and a lot of emotional cleansing. But now they're also coming into, I mean, they could have been on this journey for a long time, or for others of you, this person might have just come out of this hermit period, and they might just now be kind of diving into more the physical body and the physical reality, and kind of like adapting and and applying their inner wisdom and the inner shifts into the outside world, kind of like really applying the knowledge and the wisdom that they have acquired within themselves in their actual connections, in their actual physical body, in their actual like communities that they're dealing with, and in the way that they're showing up in the world physically. Does that make sense? Oh, and this person is definitely also, because this card, I pulled it with what is this person's higher self pushing or nudging this person on a 3D to do, or like where they're nudging them towards, and the card that came out was soul family. So there's definitely something about this person needing to or like being opened up to meeting more people from their soul family, from perhaps I'm getting more conscious. There's something about Buddhism and meditation here. So this person might be slowly diving more into, or like getting more acquainted with like conscious communities. There's also something about olive trees. This person might have like an olive orchard or something like that. I'm getting Greece specifically now. So this person might have Greek ancestry. Doesn't have to be, but there's definitely something about this person being nudged into definitely changing their outer environment, in the sense of that, like going more into like conscious communities and meeting more people that are aligned with their journey as well. More like conscious festivals, and perhaps things like pranayama and yoga. They could be into like teaching yoga or teaching pranayama or things like that. Doesn't have to be Kundalini, tantric things, could be anything. But I think that's it for now. Oh, there's also, I mentioned it a bit, I guess, already, but there's a lot about, this was an inner child and inner child healing and lots of other stuff. So now what we're going to do is we're going to ask this person's higher self what it is that you need to know about this person. So that's going to be the first upper row of cards, and the lower row of cards, I'm going to ask what it is that your person's higher self wants you to know about yourself within the context of this connection. So we can also get in the lower row some messages about how your person's higher self sees you. Why is this? So that is interesting. Okay. Well, there's something about not over-explaining yourself, or kind of, in this pile specifically, there's something about things not needing to be overly explicit. I feel like your person's higher self is like, whatever will be, will be. Like, things are unfolding as they need to for this person and for your connection. And there are certain things that you're not meant to know, and some things that you cannot know, because there are some things, I'm hearing the word like uncreated, there are some things that literally like some things that are being manifested for you guys, or like that are in the cards, like that are destined to happen or that are meant to happen for you both individually and potentially also like in your connection, that neither of you have even experienced in this reality yet, so you cannot even comprehend, you cannot even grasp it yet, if that makes sense. So did we take reversals? Yeah, okay, so are we taking reversals? No. Okay, so we're not taking, I mean, if cards flip over reverse, we're gonna take them reverse, but for some reason there's something about keeping all the cards upright while I'm shuffling the deck. So pile two's person's higher self. What is it that you need pile two to know about their person? What is it that you need? Okay, I'm getting also a specific message that for those of you who resonated with, like, if what I've said so far in the Oracle energy check was actually your energy, these messages will still apply with the upper row being about, like, your person's higher self is still coming through, okay? So regardless of whether the previous part of the reading was you or your person that you were inquiring, this part of the reading is going to be like from your person's higher self regardless, okay? I hope that makes sense. I'm kind of half here. I don't understand. I don't even know if what I'm saying is making sense right now, but let's keep going. So pile two's person's higher self. What is it that you need to know? What is it that you need pile two to know about their person at this time of them finding this reading? What is it that you need pile two to know about their person? Oh, well, that went back. So we have the Page of Swords in reverse. There's something about stop checking, stop asking. There's the Eight of Cups. What is it that you need pile two to know about their person, please? There is the Ten of Cups and the Five of Pentacles. And last but not least, what is it? Oh, there you go. Okay, so I'm going to tell you now what I saw earlier. It was the Lovers in reverse. And literally everything, as you can see, all the cards are like upright. And this was the only card in the deck that was reversed. But now it came out in the upright. So we have the Lovers. So more energy, more air energy coming through with the Page of Swords, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, and we have the Lovers, which is ruled by Gemini. And is this enough space? I think it is. Let's put it like that. It should be fine. Okay, so okay, let me just shuffle again. There's something about waiting that I'm getting from you specifically. But okay, pile two's person's higher self. What is it that you need pile two to know about themselves? So we have Temperance and the Devil. Wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, that makes so much sense. Let me... What else? What else do you pile two to know about themselves? Okay, so I'm gonna take the top one only. We have the Nine of Swords, because that was a lot of cards. And what else do you need pile two to know about themselves? So, yeah, we have the Universe, which is the world. Okay, so, wow. And on the bottom of the deck, we have the Two of Swords and the Queen of Cups. I want to see what that is. Strength. Kind of ones. Okay, so pile two. It wouldn't surprise me if this was kind of, if you were in some type of separation or in some type of confusing. It's interesting because this is like very different energy from what I was getting earlier from the energy check. So that's definitely very interesting. It wouldn't surprise me if that was your energy, not that of your actual person. And if that's the case, that's because your person has retreated their energy from you. And that's for very valid reasons. And I'm sensing that there might be a lot of pain from you about this connection at this time. Well, we do have the Nine of Swords, which is literally the card of anxiety and of I feel like for some of you, you might be wondering whether you should be done with this connection. So for confirmation, just for extra confirmation, if the energy check was actually your energy, this part is still your person, like the person that you're asking about, their higher self. Okay, so double, triple check. This is your person, regardless of who I described in the previous pile. There's something about, yes, this is an important connection, and there is a lot of happiness and beauty that you have not been able to see yet with this person, or to manifest yet with this person, because there's a lot of blockages that need to be healed within yourself first. And you should be, and it's annoying to hear, I know, I'm sorry, but you should be focusing on yourself. And there's something about, don't let bitterness or resentment towards this person or negative thoughts towards this person overrule this connection or how you perceive this connection. But definitely do be aware of how you yourself might have been subconsciously manifesting this situation. There's definitely some things about this connection that, yes, I'm hearing like you should be done with, but whether you should be done with this connection entirely, there's no correct answer to that. I do have a feeling that there's still a lot to be learned from this connection, or like either by being connected and or disconnected from this person. There's both a lot of light and beauty to be unlocked with this person and from this person and through this person. Both you individually, but also together. And what this will look like, it could be anything. I'm getting that if there is a separation, if there have been like, if it has, I'm seeing kind of like, there's something about DNA for sure. I'm seeing like the shape of like DNA helixes. So like it might be very well that you guys' connection is kind of like coming together and then parting way again, and coming together and then parting way again. If you guys currently are in some type of separation, in some type of like very little communication, there is a very good reason for that. And that's because you both have to learn certain things on your own. And there is a huge potential for healing here, a huge potential for clarity, a huge potential for, I'm hearing specifically a lot about like mental healing. It's interesting because we do have 8, 9, 10, and we have 14 and 15. So there's a lot about everything is falling into place. Everything is kind of like subsequential. Everything is complementary. That's kind of the words that I just heard. There's definitely something about sleep, you guys. You guys, if you haven't been sleeping very well, definitely make sure that you figure out why that is. Like either your digestion, if you have been eating too late, or if you have not been moving your body, if you have been using technology too late, if you have been overthinking yourself into oblivion, then definitely make sure to take those steps to ensure that you get enough sleep, because sleep for you specifically, pile 2 watching this, is so deeply important. And there's something about you not being able to hear yourself clearly and to not hear your own intuition clearly when you are in this state of like lack of sleep, of like sleeplessness. And also beware of how you're kind of like defining your I'm not a healthcare practitioner, but there's something about the head feeling heavy and cloudy, and perhaps some physical ailments that are affecting your mental clarity. So beware of how you're defining. If you have been struggling with like insomnia or anemia or whatever it is, like some type of physical ailments, definitely beware of how you're treating and how you're seeing those ailments, because there's something about them being metaphysical. Like if you have, for instance, like I'm a sucker for everything that Metaphysical Anatomy by Yvette Rose might be a book. I'm gonna grab it for you real quick because there might be some wisdom in there. Essential oils might also be some. Oh, 1111 might be a relevant number because that's what is on the screen right Essential oils and flower essences and like medicines that are a little bit more subtle, that work a little bit more on the subtle body, might be something that you're interested, or that you might be feeling called to work with. Or like sound healing, I'm seeing like singing bowls right now. If you have been trying like a lot of physical healing, or if you have been seeing a lot of practitioners and they haven't been able to tell you what was up, or like everything is fine and all your nutrients are in check, and there's still some type of there's still something off in your body, or in the way in which you're functioning, or in your health, then there's definitely something about it being about like very much psychosomatic, if that makes sense, or energetic or emotional. So this book I love it so much. It's yeah, basically just it's an encyclopedia, and it's basically, it tells you how I use it is personally, it's basically just like if I am having some type of recurring ailment or thing going on into my body, I first tune into that part of my body, or like into how that feels within myself in meditation, and ask, like potentially even have like a conversation with that body part, a conversation with that sensation, because it always, like every physical manifestation, every physical occurrence, truthfully, is linked to a metaphysical one, to a like spiritual, emotional one. So you shouldn't be basing your like self-diagnosis on the book itself, but more using it as like going more in depth and seeing what resonates and whatnot, and what could potentially be a clarification. So definitely also first consult your own, well, I guess healthcare practitioners, and also your own intuition, and then perhaps use a source like that book. Or you can also Google it, like what does stuffed sinuses mean spiritually? It's kind of like that. But there's definitely something about, be mindful of your relationship to your physical symptoms and to your physical body, because there might be a lot of wisdom and a lot of clarity there. And sleep is so important, so definitely take care of that. There's also something about your demons and your shadows are not there to hurt you. They also have very important information for you. So if you have been struggling with like recurring nightmares, also potentially, you might be having important information coming through to you in your dreams. What else? Yeah, I feel like not a lot is actually coming through from your person, because that's not what you should be focused on right now. There's something about trusting that you guys are connected, and that things will fall into place as they need to. And perhaps I'm feeling that you watching this, you might be coming to terms with the fact that you and this person don't necessarily have to, like, you might be letting go of the fact that you used to believe that you guys were meant to be together in like a traditional way, or like, I mean, it still could be the case, but it doesn't have to be. Like, you're really opening your horizons on what is this love teaching me, and like how there's definitely an expansion of the heart space, but also a letting go of expectations, and a letting go of the ways in which you think things should look like, and in which you think things should go. And kind of like I feel this resistance almost, and perhaps this is like the pain that you're dealing with currently. It's like this strong desire that you had or have to be with this person as lovers, but you're also really realizing like it hasn't been working for a reason, and you're also realizing that things cannot keep going as they have been going. So you're slowly but surely letting go of this pattern of yours. And this doesn't mean that you have to let go of this person and be like, F them and they suck and blah, like, bye, see you never. Not at all. You can still hold love for this person, but also realize that this connection at this time is not it, if that makes sense. And there's a lot of things that you both still have to heal and deal with and rebalance within yourselves. And definitely there's a lot of mirroring. There's definitely something about, I just heard reconciliation, so they might be needing to reconcile. And it's not necessarily a lot about like reconciliating with this person, because there might be nothing necessarily wrong within the connection. I feel like this is definitely one of those cases in which like nothing is truly wrong with this connection. It's just not working out right now. It's just not happening right now. It's just, there might be this insecurity about like what is even happening, like why is it not happening? And there might be definitely something about your person being silent or your person being withheld from you right now, and that's because their energy is like flooded with other things. They're flooded with their own wounds and things that they have to heal. And honestly, I'm not getting a lot of information from them because, again, there's a lot of major arcana here, and there's the lovers for them, and then there's these other cards that truthfully they're not saying a lot. They're giving a little bit of insight. What is this? What is this? What is this? The Chariot again. So there's something about the Chariot. I'm getting this message about, and that makes me also want to cry. Nothing has gone wrong, pile 2. You're not doing it wrong. You haven't done anything wrong. And this doesn't mean that you're flawless and that you have done everything like perfectly, because we all make mistakes. We all are flawed. Nobody's perfect. And that's possibly one of the things that you're learning about yourself, and you're learning to like forgive about yourself, and that you guys have been kind of trying to tell you that it's okay and that nothing has gone wrong, and that your path is unfolding as you go, that you cannot expect yourself to get things right, quote unquote, when you never were shown how to do things right. Perhaps there's issues about like communication, like you were never taught how to communicate growing up, and you're blaming yourself for like not being able to communicate. Or like this person, perhaps like they were never allowed to express themselves as a child, and therefore they don't know how to express what they're feeling or express what they're going through. Or you might not be able to, or like you feel like you're not able to regulate your own emotions, and that's because they never taught you growing up. So you're figuring out as you go. And it's hard to do after years and years and years of suppression and escapism. And there's definitely something also about like if you have been chasing this person and this person has been running away, there's definitely something about you kind of like slowing down. And I'm seeing literally someone like going like on a full throttle, whatever that's called, like on a horse, and kind of like pulling back the reins and be like, you know what, like let's slow down, and then kind of like turning in another direction and letting that person run by themselves. There's something about if you run away from your shadows, they literally run after you because they're part of you, and when you stop running, they also stop running. And there's something about if you're chasing someone, then it's an automatic reaction for them to keep running. And once you stop chasing, they also stop running. If that makes sense. There's definitely some type of shadow that you're alchemizing within yourself right now. And that's such a powerful, like, these are powerful energies. This is not everyday people type of energies, pile 2. Like, I see you, like, you're doing the hard work. And yes, you might not be doing everything entirely correctly right away, but that's not a bad thing. Like, you're figuring it out as you go. Like, you're literally learning as you go. You're doing the hard work of figuring it out. If you come from a long lineage of repeated codependency or lack of boundaries, then how are you supposed to like know how it is? You're literally here to change that pattern. So of course it's going to be hard. It's so hard. And it is bittersweet and kind of double because you wish you would be able to do this with a person. But the thing is, there's something about you having to learn how to do this on your own before you're able to share this with someone else. And it's like by triggering each other and by mirroring and pushing and pulling onto each other's energy, both physically and metaphysically, like on the 3D and the 5D, you're really pushing each other into learning and growing. So you're not doing it wrong. There's a lot of bittersweetness. There's a lot of pain. I see you, pile 2. There's a lot of pain that you're carrying, and you're very aware of the fact that you're undoing this. Like there's this fact about like this awakening. I'm literally seeing like a big ass third eye kind of being open and focused. No blinking, seeing everything. It's like you see that your path is one of transmuting shadow into light. But of course, in order to create more, like you're literally being the light that you're looking for in the world. You're being the change that you wish to see in the world. And that's hard work. Like awakening and healing, it's not pretty. It's not pretty. It's painful. It's messy. It's chaotic. It's maddening. It's... how do you even describe it? it's hard work, and you're doing the hard work, and you could literally, like, in some way you could say like, oh yeah, you don't have a choice. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, but literally you could still, these are choices that you are making. And there's something about you realizing there's something about the pain is never going to stop. And this could be true. This doesn't have to be true. This definitely could be like a mentality that you have about this. It doesn't have to be true. But there's also so much light and power that comes with this journey that you're on. Instead of it being just pain for the sake of pain and just suffering, it's like, yes, I have the pain and I have the suffering and I have these wounds and these traumas, and were basically given to me by these ancestral lineages that just have been passing it on and on and on to their progeny. But you're also seeing the flip side of it. You're seeing the brightness and the beauty that you're creating, and that you can transform from these sadder, darker energies, if that makes sense. There is a lot of pure, genuine love between you and this person. And I'm hearing that's enough. And things will unfold as they need to. And let me see if there's anything else. I feel like your person is dealing with some lack mentality, like they're probably also fear of abandonment. There's something about them, no matter what their external reality looks like, they will still kind of, they might not be able to enjoy like the beautiful, brighter things in life, which might include you and your connection, because they still have this kind of like deeply seated feeling of sadness and of pain. And that's something that is up to them to sit with and to work through. This person might also come from a lineage of people who've had struggles with like literally like financial lack and poverty, things like that. It doesn't have to be, could literally be about anything, but there's definitely something about this person not being able to truly be present with their outside reality, because their inner shadows are louder than the present. I'm getting Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now, and New Earth might be relevant for you guys. And there's definitely a lot of things that this person has to... This person is learning about communication. Like, if they're not communicating, it's just because they literally have no idea what to say or like how to say it. This person, there's definitely a lot of things about their lifestyle and about their mentality and their mindset and their beliefs that they have to like leave behind, that they have to learn to see from a different perspective, and to see that they're not like... It's kind of like this person is still identifying with a lot of their shadows and a lot of their limiting beliefs. So there's definitely something about this person being on a journey, or like being nudged by the universe, by spirit, to undo. That's what kind of I'm hearing. And there's also something about ego versus heart for the both of you. So definitely be aware of where you're moving from your heart space, and like the thoughts that you're holding that are coming from your heart space and your higher self and your true self, and what is your brain and what is kind of like your ego. And ego is not a bad thing. Like, when you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're like, oh my God, I look so good today. Like, that's also ego, and it's fine. Like, to me, the only moment in which the ego is like, quote unquote, a bad thing, or like an unproductive, or like something that is not serving you, is when either you're trying to make yourself bigger than others, or when you're trying to, or when it's literally limiting you. Like, if you're saying like, oh, I'm not gonna be vulnerable because this person needs to, they need to show up for me and make me feel safe. Like, that's also ego. It's like this entitlement to it's almost like you're entitled to having this person grow, and there might be something about you wanting this person's healing more than they want it. Yep, the camera stopped filming. So I was saying there might be something about you wanting this person's healing more than they want it for themselves. And it's not that this person doesn't want to heal, but this person might not be as far ahead in their healing journey as you are. So they might be still so deeply identified with their own old patterns that they kind of don't see a way out. And it's their job. Like, you cannot... I'm hearing cars outside of my house. What is happening? The fuck? Who is parking in my driveway? Or are they just turning around? Okay, they were just turning around. That's fine. So, that was weird. I'm getting that quote, and I'm also cringing. I'm almost cringing because that's one of the quotes that is it Cole Sprouse or Dylan Sprouse? No, I don't know. The Sprouse brother that is being like bashed all over the internet right now. Peace to his soul. But it's that quote that he also mentioned that is like, you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And it's almost like you have been desiring to heal with this person. And that's like, it comes from such a pure place, Pile 2. You shouldn't be feeling bad about this. And perhaps this was like a really harsh realization for you to realize that this person is just not there yet. And they have to figure it out on their own. And yes, there's a reason why they have aligned with you and with someone that has your energy. And that's probably because there have been some triggers that they needed to experience through your energy and through your person. But what they decide to do with it is totally up to them. And again, I'm not getting a lot of information from them actually, or about them, because this is a message that you should not be focusing on them at this time. Yeah. There's also something about, this is both a message for you and for them, but also like definitely for you. All the advice, perhaps it might be the case that all the advice that you have been giving them or wanting to give to them, like, is really advice that you should be applying to yourself. Shout out to all the Virgos out there. I see you. And yeah, okay, so let me shuffle your advice cards real quick. All right, so I've shuffled your advice cards, and we have, as per usual, more cards than I was planning to take, but that's fine. So we have love. I commit to the practice of seeing the good in all things. Yeah, there's definitely something about mental focus and shifting your mindset into one that is productive and that is not kind of repeating old patterns of seeing things. I've just heard the word doom. So yeah, be aware of how your mindset and your thoughts are impacting your reality, because you create your own reality. And perhaps this is like a very big lesson for the both of you. And if you think that, for instance, this person has been having too many negative thoughts and that they're keeping themselves stuck in these loops of sadness, is what I just heard, then definitely be aware of how your thoughts are keeping you and this connection stuck from your side in the same loops as well. And then we also have worry. I'm learning that worry doesn't change the outcome. Exactly, the shift in positive focus. And this is not to like bypass your sadness and your hurt and your pain, but this is like about reframing and alchemizing. You know, if this person is not being communicative to you right now, instead of being like, oh, why are they not, like, why is this happening? I don't deserve this, and F them, and they're so mean, and you know, kind of like those negative lack-based thoughts. Realize that if they're not responding, then it's good, because they probably don't have anything positive or like productive to say to you anyways. So there's no point in trying to communicate when there's nothing to communicate about this time. And that communication will happen when it will happen. And if it doesn't happen, then there's probably value and lessons in there too for how bittersweet it might be. You can't know what will happen in the future, but you can always take the steps in the present that are the most beneficial. I just heard choose yourself, that are the most beneficial for your mental health and your well-being, your physical and mental well-being. Yeah, there's definitely something about, like, if this is your path, if this is your resonating, there's definitely something about your mental and physical health being very much intertwined. Shout out to all my sensitive people out there, hella sensitive. This is 2 spirit animal cards. This might be just your spirit animal cards, but also how this person might come through to you, either in meditation and dreams or in real life. So first one is have lizard with regeneration. As a survivor, you are unparalleled. No matter what happens, you can adapt. Oh yeah, there was something about adapting, wasn't there? Embrace your transformation. Put on your new cloak. You're a master of regeneration. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And then we also have dog friend. Today I will love without condition. My energy and enthusiasm are an inspiration. I choose to be happy. I'm a protector and a friend. Also, a concept that is coming through strongly, especially with this card with I love unconditionally, is love is unconditional. Relationships and connections aren't. Like, those are two different things. You can love someone from afar. You can love someone even when and even if and even with anger and pain and when you're, yeah, love is unconditional when it's true love, when it's really love. And love it, like, it's unconditional and unending. There's nothing that can change love, but of course, like, connections, when they're harmful, when they're not productive, when they're not healthy, they shouldn't be unconditional. Love is something that pertains to the 5D, and it's not something tangible of this reality. Like, the feeling of love is kind of like the channel through which we become aware of love, if that makes sense. And one of our purposes as humans and as spiritual beings incarnated on Earth is basically to materialize and to manifest love on Earth. So if you stayed until this point, shout out to you, because powerful souls. But yeah, there's also definitely a strong... It's not happening right now for a reason, and it's okay. It doesn't matter what the outcome is. Just know that if it's meant to be, it will come around. If it's not meant to be, then look at what it taught you. Look at what it kind of allowed you to do with your own energy, and look at how much love it has allowed you to manifest and to create and embody for yourself. There's definitely something about you guys are connected. You guys are... There is such pure love in this connection, and again, I heard that's enough for now. That's enough for now. Also, we have number 4 with the heart chakra. The frequency of the heart chakra, the green flower of life, supports our capacity to love deeply and unconditionally. Its healing properties harmonize the mind and the body. There you go. So if you have been seeking for healing and nothing has been working, the message here is align with your heart, and it might be a process. It's a journey. It's not that easy. It's not the only thing to do, obviously, but something about keeping your heart clear and aligning your heart and your mind and working through those obstacles. And yeah, your heart is a powerful, powerful resource. Is it too dark, you guys? A little bit. It's fine. It's almost done. And last but not least, we have clear your mind with last quarter moon in Gemini. Yeah. Clear your mind, clear your heart, harmonizing the mind and the heart. I feel like that's all that is coming through for you right now, pile 2. I'm sending you such a big, big, big fat hug. Thank you so much for staying up until this point if you have. And thank you so much for being here and letting me read your cards. As per usual, feel free to leave a comment down below, letting me know how this resonated for you, as it means everything to me to know how my readings land on the other side of the screen. As this is YouTube and I'm talking to nobody in front of me, so it's always nice to hear how these resonate. Also, feel free to leave a like and subscribe. That really helps with the algorithm. And thank you so much for being here. I love you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hi, pile 3. If you chose the Pirite Stone as well as the 5th Spirit Tarot, this is going to be reading all about messages from your person's higher self. Now, there is a more in-depth breakdown. I don't know why I got a little lost there. There's a little bit of a more in-depth explanation about what I mean with higher self and what we're going to do in this reading in the intro. So definitely, if you skip that and if you're interested, go back real quick. But if you're here just rolling with it, we can just dive straight into it, into looking at the energy check, basically. So the first couple cards are going to be indicative of your person's higher self's 5D basically energy, and then the lower row of cards is going to be their 3D human energies, if that makes sense. So for your this is supposed to be there. So for your person's higher self, we have number 39 with fog, and we have cracked open, rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. We have Jupiter, and we have remembrance, number 11. Then for your person's human 3D energy, we have the stone, and that's number 67. There you go. Should be here. Then we have 2 astrology cards. The first one is Saturn with feel restricted, experience struggle, learn hard work and patience. And we have Venus, give and receive love, find value and see beauty. We also have number 28 or 10 or 1 in numerology with cosmic exploration. And last but not least, we have Grandmother Moonstone, cycles of change, illuminating boundaries, new beginnings. Now, let me check if everything is nice and... Okay, it's not exactly centered, so maybe you can move that a little bit. So maybe it's more pleasant for you guys to see. Is that okay? That's kind of okay. Maybe this is okay. Well, that's fine. So yeah, so this person might have the key word here is confusion for the state in which your person is currently in. So that makes a lot of sense with the kind of like little brain fog that I felt at the beginning of this pile. This person, they might struggle with memory loss recently, like they might forget things a lot of the time. There is a degree of this person being really present in the sense that they don't necessarily... They're not present as in grounded and focused on the present moment, but it's much like, it's kind of like they have struggled. Disassociation might be a thing, getting Pisces vibes a little bit. Well, we do have Jupiter, so in terms of signs coming through. See, I'm already chaotic and all over the place. So we do have Jupiter, which is the ruler of Pisces and Sagittarius. We also have Venus, which rules Taurus and Libra, and we have Saturn, which rules Capricorn and traditionally also Aquarius. Then, yeah, I think that's it so far. Okay, so where do we start? I feel like this person, for how they're showing up in the 3D, like how they go on about their day-to-day life is kind of like on autopilot. They might currently be lacking a sense of direction. They might be just in a great state of confusion. And it almost feels like there's a stillness and a silence to this pile. So I feel like it has been like a theme recently in the past readings that I've done, which makes a lot of sense. Of these all being case scenarios in which it's very likely that your person is being silent, or that you guys are not communicating a whole lot, or that there are a lot of things like unsaid. There's some type of disconnection or separation between the two of you, between you and the person that you're asking about. And it makes a lot of sense, because obviously if a connection is completely fine, and if there's a lot of healthy communication and productive communication going on, then you probably wouldn't be watching tarot readings on what they have to say to you. So, yeah. It's almost like this person's life is at a standstill. Like, it feels like there's not much happening around this person, or like things are pretty monotonous, pretty much the same, like not much is happening. Perhaps it's just like a lot of schoolwork, or like a lot of work, or just like hanging out with friends every night, like at the cafe or something like that, just doing the same things kind of over and over again. But there is a certain level of discomfort to this person. It definitely seems like their higher self. It's interesting because their higher self is coming through as Jupiter, and their human self is presenting also with the energy of Saturn. So Jupiter is expansion and Saturn is restriction, as we also see here, or obstacles, not necessarily restriction. Like Saturn is a very powerful energy that serves growth, if that makes sense. So like there's always parallels in astrology. So like you have Venus and Mars, which is like the receptive feminine energy and the active masculine, and then you have like the sun and the moon, which is like the sun is again like the masculine, outward moving, light, bright type of energy, and the moon is like the receptive or reflective, quiet type of energy. And then there's Jupiter and Saturn. So Saturn is more like the kind of like restrictive obstacles. I'm seeing the god Ganesha, so that might be relevant for some of you. Saturn is like the obstacles and like the hard lessons, like learning things the hard way, if that makes sense. And Jupiter is expansion, is this abundance, is this growth, essentially. So like they go together hand in hand. There's definitely something about this person's higher self really, really, really trying to reach out or getting into contact with their human self. So like there's something about this person's higher self really trying to make themselves known to this person, and they might be sometimes aware of them, sometimes not. I feel like they're not entirely connected to their higher self, and if I have to guess, this person is not someone who would identify as into things like spirituality. Although with this cosmic exploration and this Venus card and cycles of change, it might be definitely something that they're getting more open to. They might perhaps be interested, like they might ask you about like their birth chart or like their numerology or like their what is that thing called, like human design, like if you're into all that kind of stuff, which I mean I assume that you are because you're watching a tarot reading. And I'm feeling like an excitement. So like you might just be talking a lot, like in a very excited way to this person about things like astrology and oh my god, like the synchronicities and look at how much it makes sense. Like perhaps like you know their birth chart and like, you might tell them things about themselves and they're like, oh my god, yeah, that makes so much sense, but still be a little bit skeptical with the Saturn energy, a little bit skeptical. And kind of being like, yeah, of course, like everyone is, you know, sensitive deep down and everyone has suffered and everyone has this and this and that. But sometimes like you might have said things to them that made them think a lot. So it might be the case that their higher self kind of comes through to you to say things to them. Like you might be not be even aware of when you're channeling things for them, which I mean, the universe is always talking to us through, you know, songs that we hear on the radio, through like the synchronicities that we see, through the numbers that we see, through like the books that we read, the movies that we watch, through the people that we talk to. Like it might have happened. This person might be confronted with a lot of synchronicities, like repeating things, and they might discard them as just like what is it called? Coincidence. I don't know why I had difficult finding that word, but there's something about this person. It's kind of like I hear like I have no idea what's going on. So this person is kind of going through an awakening. That's definitely the vibes that I'm getting from them. But I feel like they might be just like very subtly being hinted towards things. Like this person does not feel like it does not feel like a dark night of the soul, if that makes sense. It's kind of very, very subtle. It's kind of like they're being nudged towards seeing things differently and seeing things. I'm getting this specific message about seeing the world around them as alive. Perhaps I just heard the word animism, which I believe is that concept of seeing that everything has a spirit, that everything has a soul, that everything is alive. So this person is kind of like taking baby steps into spirituality and self-growth, if that makes sense. Definitely. So this card was from the Aries Oracle, this cosmic exploration card. I basically asked about their energy towards you, and it's interesting that we have cosmic exploration because I indeed do believe that perhaps with you, like you might be a very different type of energy entering their lives. It wouldn't surprise me if this was like a newer connection. It doesn't have to be. But it kind of feels like this person through you is being initiated or like opened up to, like you're opening this person up to a whole entire new world. And I'm hearing a whole new world from Aladdin, in which you're kind of Aladdin and this person is Jasmine, in the sense that this person might have been kind of locked up in this same old world for a long time, because there's definitely something about like time passing by and not much changing, if that makes sense. And you kind of taking them on this journey and showing them, like, I can show you the world, and like opening them up to new things that they don't quite get yet. And it's interesting because on this stone card, there's like it's this symbol, like the triangle, the square, and the circle within another circle. It's a symbol of alchemy. And it's not even the main focus of the card. It's like almost like it's disguised in between. I feel like this person's definitely seeing a lot of things that are kind of making them think. But it's not quite landing yet, because there's definitely this fog, this not understanding, not grasping things entirely. I feel like this person is definitely aware of the fact that they have a soul, but they don't quite understand. I also just heard the word death, about like the death card, so like transformation. So they might be aware of things like that, but there's a difference between knowing and truly feeling and being aware and embodying a concept. So this person might be learning a lot about things like spirituality and perhaps like mindset and mindfulness and different concepts about the self and about the spirit world and about the universe, but they might not quite grasp them fully yet. Like it still has to click for them. And there's definitely something about their higher self coming through as Jupiter and with the fog and cracked open and remembrance. They're definitely pushing your your 3D person the fact that they're experiencing this confusion. So I'm noticing that especially in this pile, like that's just something that I do always because ADHD, Mercury brain, I guess. But I kind of like, I'm leaving the sentences halfway, and there's something about this person perhaps like getting introspected within themselves, but then there's always like something else that they have to do, or they're like their train of thought stops or something because they're not, because their brain or like their ego is not used to this degree of introspection that they're currently kind of experiencing, and therefore it's kind of hard for them to go really deep within themselves. You might have a Pisces rising. I heard Pisces rising or Cancer rising, because there's a lot of pastel blue and pastel pink. For some of you, this might be a child. What is going on? There's a lot of confusion. It's like I'm getting some things and I'm like, I have no idea what this means. Which, I mean, it's not strange because as the reader, what happens is basically you're just like processing information, and the information as it comes through the reader is it might not make sense to the reader, like logically, rationally speaking, but it will make sense to the receiver of the reading of the messages because, you know, they have to resonate personally, and this is all energy and how these readings work and why they make sense for a lot of people. It's almost like, you know how song lyrics, they can resonate with millions and millions of people. It's almost the same thing for like collective readings because it's just energies, and the same energy can express itself in millions of different practical ways. So like people with completely different practical realities can resonate to the same energy, if that makes sense. So yeah, there's definitely something about this person, like this human on the 3D may experience this confusion and this lack of clarity, this lack of direction, this perhaps that it feels like they have nothing to look forward to. So like, again, that life feels like kind of like the same, and they might be interested in learning new things, but they kind of like might not. I just heard the word stuck. They feel stuck, perhaps like in their old hometown, or like perhaps they're stuck in like a boring job, or they're stuck in not knowing what study to choose. There's something about stars, because I'm being called to look at the stars on this card and the stars on this card and kind of like the stars on this card. They definitely might be getting more and more into astrology and learning about their birth chart and things like that, or like perhaps like transits currently going on. These readings are timeless, by the way, so anytime that you find them, or that it finds you, it's good. Yeah, it's almost like the universe is slowly starting to speak to them in very, very subtle ways. And it's like almost like their system is picking up on these things, but their brain hasn't quite processed all these things fully. So it's like this person is kind of like starting their spiritual journey, their self-growth journey, if that makes sense. What else? Yeah, there's definitely something about alchemy. Like we do have the word alchemy here, and there's this alchemy symbol. So this is definitely a powerful soul, by the way, but they might be younger in age, or they might just have gotten through something like an important breakup, or they might have ended like a job, or they might have gotten through some type of radical change that has kind of kickstarted something for them, very much internally, because on the outside of them, it feels like not much is changing at all. Like their outside environment might still quite be the same, but on the inside, like some things are definitely being set in motion. I'm seeing like an engine starting kind of like silently and slowly. Wolves and owls might be. This person might be like a night owl, or like identify as like a lone wolf. There's something about like being like a lone animal, a nighttime animal. Yeah, and I'm not sure if I mentioned this already. It's interesting how we have the expansion card for their higher self, and there's this kind of like restriction card for their 3D self. So like the confusion and the fog that they're experiencing, like their higher self knows very well that this is an opportunity for growth, that this is kind of like the initiation for growth, an initiation for expansion, initiation for seeing things from different perspectives and from learning more and from basically just moving on and keep going in this journey that is life. And I don't know why I said it that way, but whereas their 3D self is experiencing this confusion and this lack of direction as an obstacle, as like a blockage, which I mean, there is truth to that, but that's not all the truth to it. Of course, blockages, they're literally blockages, so like they're blocking something from flowing. But the fact that we can become aware of them and learn about them and understand them, it's literally like a pretext for growth and expansion and healing. There's definitely a lot of healing that this person is going to experience, that they're kind of like being initiated into experiencing. Yeah, that's it. I feel like this person hasn't been in the past very much acquainted with like personal healing and like their own shadows and their patterns, and they might be becoming slowly but surely aware of them. So there might be this thing about them experiencing like their limiting beliefs as, oh my god, this is who I am, and I kind of suck, and I'm this and I'm that, and they might experience that as a blockage, whereas they're kind of like at the start of this journey into, first of all, an understanding that it's all a matter of focus, and it's all a matter of like mindset and what they focus on, and what you resist persists, and that nothing is set in stone, and that they actually have the power to change these beliefs and the situations as they come through, as well as indeed that they have the power to alchemize. I'm getting magician card vibes from this, what I'm saying now, but yeah, that they have the power to alchemize these things, that they're not bound and not actually limited by this. And I feel like they're learning slowly but surely that obstacles are not just obstacles in like for the sake and for the end of being an obstacle and of being like annoying in the middle of the road. It's like a pretext for growth, a pretext for learning. It's almost like this person is learning that you can learn through mistakes, that it's okay to make mistakes, because we learn better from our mistakes than we could ever learn from the things that go smoothly. So this person is definitely learning, or this person higher self is coming through, is trying to make this person understand that they have power to change their mind, that they have that they have intuition also. That's what's coming through with the mind and this owl. This person is definitely being awakened to their feminine energies. They might have been someone in the past who was rather like stoic and rather focused on their comfort zone and kind of like what they used to, and kind of taking like, perhaps they were a rather like conservative type of traditional like fixed type of energy, in the sense that they would just go through life kind of like, yeah, on autopilot, almost like they would take what they know and just take that for truth, basically. And they're definitely being nudged to expand and to see deeper than the surface, if that makes sense, because we do have this cracked open card, which basically it's like the human self cracking open to reveal this body of light. There's definitely something about them, like this person's higher self is nudging them to remember the deeper truths of what it is to be human. That's what I just heard. So to remember the truth of love, and the fact that they are energy first and foremost, and that something about not identifying with their thoughts nor with their emotions. But there's definitely a lot about like needing to do emotional work, because this person might have not been very much in touch with their emotions so far. And there's also something about seeing the beauty and the heaviness of things, and not just the heaviness, like this fog. It's almost like they're being challenged by their higher self and by the universe through a lot of synchronicities, and possibly through their connection with you as well. They're being challenged to look for the silver lining in things. I think that's it. Oh, and with this rock bottom card also coming through, there's something about them kind of like going back also in time and sit with, perhaps like see how things that they're dealing with right now stem from the past, and perhaps things like childhood trauma, and look at how they can heal that in the now. There's something about like reparenting themselves. Yeah, okay, let's see with the tarot. It's interesting because with this pile, I feel like there's more. But this is literally like the energy that this person is in. It's kind of like, okay, so there's more to learn, but I'm not there yet. So it's almost like they might get frustrated because they know that there's more, but they can't quite grasp it yet, if that makes sense. They might come to you, or like if you guys are talking, or like when you used to talk, if you're not in contact right now, they might ask you about things like spirituality, or like perhaps like tarot, or like, yeah, astrology, numerology, all that fun stuff, like the chakra system and star seeds and things like that. I just heard the word psychology too. So perhaps you might have, you might either have studied psychology or be a lot into that, and yeah, have a lot of knowledge on that. This person might have recently started like a therapy journey, or they might have started, yeah, I'm getting something like that. But okay, last shuffle. So that was a very shitty shuffle. So what I'm going to do is shuffle, because that was horrendous. There we go. So what we're going to do is the top row of cards is basically messages from your person's higher self about your person. And the bottom row is going to be messages from your person's higher self about you. And these are all, both going to be with regards to your connection. So pile 3's person's higher self. Pile 3's person's higher self. What does pile 3 need to know about their person at this time? Them finding this reading, please. So we have, yeah, we have the Emperor in reverse. What is pile 3? Do we have to take all of these? I think we do have to take all of these. So we have the Knight of Pentacles. That makes so much sense. We have the Wheel of Fortune in reverse. And I feel like we have to take 5 cards for this pile. I'm not sure what I did in pile 1, because that was been a little while ago. But for the previous pile, I took 4. But this one, we need 5. What else does pile 3 need to know about their person at this time, please? Why did the light go off? I don't know. That's fine, because I believe this is fine in terms of light. Yeah, good. We have the Hangman in reverse. So that's more Pisces energy, I believe. And the Wheel of Fortune is ruled by Jupiter. So again, there's a lot of Jupiter energy here, for sure. Yeah, and what about... Is it centered? Yeah, that's fine. Double, triple checking. So pile 3's person's higher self. What does pile 3 need to know about themselves within this connection? What does pile 3 need to know about themselves within this connection? We have the Page of Cups. What does pile 3 need to know about themselves with regards to this connection? So we have Judgment. I feel like I need to take this one. We have the Queen of Pentacles in reverse. What does pile 3 need to know about themselves within this connection? We have the Seven of Swords in reverse. I'm going to need to clarify for that, please. What about the Seven of Swords in reverse? It's almost like you both, like, there's a reluctance from both of you to take responsibility, to take charge for something. It's almost like you both are like, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing this. Or like, it's up to them, it's up to them, it's up to the other person, it's up to the other person. It's almost like this refusal of taking responsibility for something. Or like this refusal of, this reluctance. I'm getting the feeling that both of you might have had a past in which you both would like compromise or do things for the other, even when it didn't feel good for yourselves for some reason. And then you kind of like, you're like, okay, I'll do it for the sake of the connection, or like, I'll do it if it makes you happy, but like you would resent it. And this is mutual. This is both of you. And that might definitely have been like a disruptive pattern that you both were being illuminated into, if that makes sense, through this connection. What about this? Okay, so one more card for what does pile 3 need to know about themselves within this connection. I'm going to pull a clarifier. What is pile 3? This one? This is the 6 of Wands in reverse. Can I have a clarifier for the 7 of Swords, please? For what pile 3 needs to know about themselves within this connection. Okay, so we have the 9 of Pentacles in reverse. Yeah, so there's a... Don't worry about the reversals, by the way. This 2 of Swords. This is so interesting. So I said pile 2 earlier. And the Ace of Swords in the bottom. Below that. What's beneath that? Ace of Cups. Okay, holy shit. So... It's interesting because I said pile 2. So if you felt called to pile 2, if you didn't feel called to pile 2, then definitely ignore this message. But if you felt called to pile 2, there might be messages in there for you. There's something about the color green that is being highlighted to me right now. Okay, so for what you need to know about your person is that they're not exactly in their power right now, and that they are indeed in a period of stagnancy, and that they're kind of like they have no idea of what's going on. Essentially, if you see this Wheel of Fortune card, this figure here is blindfolded. There's all kinds of things going on around them, and they're kind of like steering this steering wheel blind. So they're on autopilot for sure. They keep repeating the same routines over and over every single day, possibly. And they're kind of stuck in these same patterns. They are moving forward slowly but surely, because it's interesting because we do have all these cards are in reverse for your person, except for the Knight of Pentacles. So there's definitely a positive message of this person is slowly but surely. I keep hearing slowly but surely. There was definitely something about patience also with that Saturn card coming through. This person is finding their way through, and I just heard, I'm hearing that song by Avicii, ABC, I don't know how you pronounce that, feeling my way through the darkness. I don't know what it says after that. There's something about a map. The universe is kind of trying to show them the map, but they're not really seeing it. This person might have glasses or like sight problems, if that makes sense. I'm literally seeing right now like a blind person using one of those like walking sticks. I don't know what it's called. I'm sorry. This is just something that is coming through right now. Kind of like tapping, feeling into where the hell they're going because they have no idea. There might be something about them suffering from burnout, either from work or from... Yeah, they might, for some of you, I'm getting this person might not be working at all currently because they are burnt out or because something happened. Like they might be recovering in some sort of way from like either psychological or like physical ailments or something like that. And things are picking up motion very, very slowly, but very, very surely. And this person at this time needs to move slowly, and that's just where they are at right now. For you, pile 3, watching this, I'm not gonna lie, I feel a little bit of resentment from your side. It's like you're eager and excited to move forward, but it's almost like you need this person to show up in a way that they're not able to in order to be yourself. It's almost like, oh, if they were open for communicating, then I could show my truth. If they were open to see me, then I could show myself. If they were open to go there with me, then we could go. There's something about you need to be yourself regardless of what this person does or doesn't do, because you are on your journey and this person is on theirs. If you have something to say to this person, there's a clear message of like, just do it. Also, take this message how it resonates. If you're blocked, if you have agreed on not communicating with this person, then definitely like take it as it resonates for your specific situation. You might want to like write a letter and not even send it to them, but just like write your truth and just become clear and aware of what your truth is. And if you are still able to communicate to this person, then it might be a good idea to just state your truth in a compassionate and kind way, I feel the need to say, and only doing that when you actually can move from a place of compassion and love. There's definitely something about having eyes closed. So like if you see this person being blind to something, then ask yourself, what am I being blind to? If you see this person being stuck in their old patterns, then ask yourself, where am I keeping myself stuck in my old patterns? There's something about you being resentful or like almost mad at them for not showing up how you would like them to show up. And I just heard the word compassion. So there's something about you being invited to find compassion in this situation, because there's definitely stagnant heart energy. There's something stagnant around your heart in the sense that you cannot seem to find peace or acceptance or compassion or empathy for this person. It's almost like you're blaming them for their struggles, which is probably, this person might subconsciously pick up on that, and that's why they might not be willing to communicate with you at this time or like be connected at this time, and that's why they might need their space. There's definitely something about this person not needing any more burdens at this point because they're already struggling with so much, and if this connection is also a place in which there seems to be more struggle than peace, then it's only natural for them to not being able to deal with this right now. Even if they wanted to, that's just what I heard. It's like, even if they wanted to, this is like, they can't right now because it doesn't seem to be a safe space. That's what I just heard. So there's definitely something about you needing to take a step back, both for the connection and yourself, and realizing that, first of all, you don't need them to be happy. Like, you can have an entire banquet and a buffet and take yourself out on dates, and like, if they want to join you, that's awesome. If they want to join in on the fun, that's beautiful. But you don't need them. Pile 3. Like, of course you have the desire for connection, but if this specific person is not able to give that to you right now, then you're only doing a disfavor to yourself by kind of like expecting it from them, or like being upset about the fact that they can't give that to you. There's definitely something about you might have a wound around external validation. Like, you might need someone to show up in a certain way for you, or like someone to see you, for you to feel validated. There's definitely a need for you to kind of like tune more into your intuition, and also perhaps into your inner child, and see where you can nourish yourself, both in a way so that you can be satisfied and happy within yourself, and so that you can show up in a healthy and wholesome. That's just an very important word. Wholesome and embodiment is just what came through for you, pile 3. But yeah, basically self-care and taking care of your own wounds and taking care of your own beautiful self, so that you can be happy and fulfilled within yourself, regardless of what this person does, or says. And also so that you can show up in a wholesome and beautiful and nourishing, nurturing way in this connection, if that's what you want, if that's aligned with you. You don't need to pretend to be someone that you're not. Also, you don't need to pretend to be happy or unbothered or not hurt by what is going on. Like, you can, there's something about you needing to admit to yourself how you truly feel. Perhaps you're one of those people who says, like, no judgment at all. Like, this is not a negative judgment, but there is definitely a certain coping mechanism that people have, which is like, if you're sad or upset by something that another person does, which you're obviously not in control of because it's kind of like in the hands of the other person, of saying, oh yeah, they're hurting me, but it's fine, like, I'm fine anyways. And that's kind of like bypassing yourself and kind of like not even validating your own feelings. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword, double-edged knife. I'm not entirely sure how you say that thing, but it's kind of like, if you feel like this person is treating you in a certain way, then ask yourself how it is truly a reflection of how you're treating yourself. If you feel like this person is blocking you from going on in life, then ask yourself, how am I truly blocking myself from going on in life? If you feel like this person is not seeing your value, then ask yourself where you're not validating and seeing your own value. Like, how are you spending time with yourself? How are you enjoying your own company? How are you talking to yourself and about yourself? How are you feeling when you look in the mirror? There's definitely a lot of blockages from this within this connection, from uniting, is the word that I just got. And that's because you both individually have some blockages that you need to resolve individually, because these are very different energies that you guys are in. But there's definitely something about, I just heard stay true to yourself and taking a step back and looking at where the emotions and the thoughts and the frustrations that you're experiencing, where do they come from, regardless of this person. Like, take this person's actions and words and lack of actions as a trigger and kind of like as a mirror to show you where you within yourself are already hurting. There's this thing that I wrote, that I channeled a while back, and it said something along the lines of, my worst demons and wounds are already inside me. There's nothing that you can truly do or say that can truly hurt me. The only thing that you can truly do for me is trigger me and shine light on the wounds that are already present within me for me to see clearer and heal from within. There's no such thing as this person healing wounds for you. Like, of course, let's say that you're insecure about your appearance. If this person tells you that you're very pretty, then it's going to feel nice for 5 seconds, but then you're going to be insecure again, because again, it's an external thing. If you do study psychology, which might be a thing, because I feel like, yeah, that was a message that came through earlier, but I'm getting psychology references as well. Extrinsic versus intrinsic motivation. Like, you might know that extrinsic motivation is not the greatest indicator of how much motivation somebody actually has to do anything. The motivation, like the best type of motivation that truly sets things in motion for you and that truly gets you doing things, is intrinsic motivation. So like, what is it that inside of you makes you want to do something? And for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, like an extrinsic or external motivation might be like, oh, I'm going to work at a job because I'm going to get money, or like I'm going to pass this exam because I need grades to pass this course, and because then I will look good in the eyes of my professor. Whereas intrinsic or internal motivation is something like, I'm getting a dog because I love dogs, because it makes me so happy, because it's so fulfilling. You see how that's different? Why was I talking about this? I don't know. I have no idea where I was going with that, but I hope that makes sense. Let me see. Yeah, there's a shadow around entitlement as well. I feel like that's a theme that came through in the previous pile. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if these two piles were connected. If you were called to that pile, definitely check that out. If not. All good. And there's definitely, I just heard like a step back to innocence. Find the walls that you have built against, like around your heart, like the bitterness that you have built around your heart, and kind of like the anger that is polluting your heart. Oh, I was also getting a quote which is like, harboring resentment or harboring resentment towards someone is like drinking poison in the hope that they will die. The feelings that you hold within yourself, they're yours. They're yours and you're in charge of them. And there's a lot of mirroring. So whatever you think this person is doing and going through, like, be aware of the fact that you're doing that as well, and that you're going through certain like similar things as well. Just like ask yourself, how is this surfacing within me? Like, why do I recognize this pattern within them? Because truthfully, this person is being like a very loud mirror to show you patterns about yourself, pile 3. I know these might not be the most pleasant messages to come through, but yeah, I will. Oh, look, it's a death card in reverse. Scorpio energy. Yeah, so there's something about needing to go back, like taking a few steps back. If you don't know what to do, then connect to the truth of your heart. And you can use your brain to reach that truth, but your brain will not produce that truth. Like, the brain is like a processor of information. It's not the source of information. You also might be definitely someone who relies more on their brain rather than their heart. There's definitely something about you needing to tune more into your heart, and your heart's truth has a lot of peace and quiet. That's just what came through. Of peace and quiet to offer to you, and your mind and your reason your thoughts, they might be rather chaotic and confusing and rather yeah, kind of like put you into energies that make you kind of like drink poison in the hope that this person will die, essentially, metaphorically speaking. I feel like, okay, let me sit with it another few seconds, see if anything else needs to come through, and otherwise we'll just keep going into your device. Yeah, there's definitely something about compassion, and if you're not in the state to find compassion for this person, then you should first move into a space of compassion for the self, because truthfully, the way that we treat others is reflective of how we feel about ourselves, and how we feel about ourselves also ripples out into how we feel about others. So if you are having if you're struggling with how you feel towards this person, it's pretty much a reflection of your own heart's energy. So if you feel mad or like resentful or frustrated at this person, then you should refocus your energy into your own heart and look at what is hurting there and what is needing your attention there about your own heart. Like, it's not about this person. At the end of the day, this is your journey. And I'm not gonna lie, I do feel this person's higher self being a little protective over your person as these messages are coming through, because there might be a lot of projection going on. I do feel like I want to move on to advice, so I will pause the video and I will shuffle your advice, and then I will be right back. Okay, so I got your oracles. I just decided that I'm not gonna do this anymore. I mean, I like shuffling on camera. I don't know why for this reading. I decided to do it like this, but it's okay. So we have a bunch of cards. As per usual, I'm getting way more than I intend to, but that's okay. So we have 2 spirit animal cards, which might be spirit animals relevant to you, or they might be how your person's higher self comes through to you to communicate with you. And the first one is the squirrel. Always prepared. You are the expert of hard work and hard play. Your cheerful and fun disposition is a blessing to everyone. Don't let life's distractions take you off course. Make a plan for the future and life will give you all you need. By the way, I also turned on the light again because it was getting dark. It was getting a little dark. So yeah, that is one. And we have the heron with patience. There's something about birds. I was thinking a lot about birds before filming this pile, and now I see like birds even in this squirrel card coming through. And we have the heron, which is another bird with patience. Create a place in nature's stillness and be renewed. Take time alone to find balance. Step confidently towards your purpose. Patience will bring you rewards. So there's definitely something about you finding tools to walk your own path. Yeah, take time alone to find balance. So where is it that you're kind of like escaping yourself? If you feel like this person has been escaping you or like avoiding you, ask yourself, where am I avoiding myself? Where am I expecting something else on the outside of myself to fix my discomfort? Like, where is it that I need the world outside of myself to change so that I can feel better about myself, essentially? Then we also have the solar plexus chakra. The frequency of the solar plexus chakra, the yellow flower of life, supports our sense of self, our personal power, and our willpower, as well as our knowing of who we are and what our contribution is to the whole. So like, you both might struggle with low self-esteem, essentially. You both might have a rather like negative inner conversation, inner dialogue about yourselves. You might both bond over things like sarcastically speaking ill about yourself. But those things are, yeah, I would say that they're not to be taken lightly, because your words are powerful and your words are what creates your reality, or like part of what creates your reality. So we have, where's, what? Oh, it's here. Oh my God. I thought, where's that blue card? I just read it. Anyways, so another card for you is gratitude. I am thankful for this life and the opportunities that it presents. So yeah, there's definitely something about shift of focus and realize, first of all, not only focus on what is lacking in this connection, but also being grateful of the beauty that it has brought. And yeah, notice where you're doing yourself a disfavor. while you're only focusing on what is lacking and on what is not there and on what is wrong and what is not happening, rather than being present and being like, okay, so this is something that we're currently going through, this is something that I'm going through currently, and this is what they're going through, and it's okay how it is right now, and kind of like finding acceptance for what is, because keeping yourself in a state of wanting things to be different than they are now is basically a dysfunctional relationship to the present moment, which is truthfully all that you have. Then we also have self-esteem. I possess gifts of the soul that benefit me and others. Yeah, again, this self-esteem, solar plexus energy coming through very strongly in these advice cards. So there's definitely something. And we have the Emperor here with Aries energy in reverse. So again, you both are learning to trust yourselves. That is something that I just got. Trusting yourselves and trusting in your ability to build yourself up. And whenever it is time, whenever you both have something to share, because potentially you guys don't really have anything to share at this moment, because if you would have something to share with each other, then you probably would. So if it's not happening right now, then know that that's because that's how things are supposed to be. And how do you know that it's true that this is how things are supposed to be? Because this is how things are. This is just how things are. So that's the way. Yeah, that's all there is to know right now, basically. Then we also have new moon in Aries. Go for it. I don't know why I said that in a weird way like that. And then we also have full moon in Aries, so cool your emotions. Yeah, so there's definitely something about processing your frustration, resentment, resistance, anger perhaps, and seeing the deeper layers, seeing beneath that, seeing where those things come from. And there's definitely also something about, if you have something to say to this person, definitely go for it. But be mindful about your energy. Like, the energy that you're in is the energy that you bring into the connection. So if you're frustrated, if you're blaming this person, if you're upset about them, if you're feeling like they're not good enough, if you're feeling that like they're not showing up in a good way, then that's literally the energy that you're transferring to them. And is that productive? No. Do they deserve that? Probably not. I don't know what's going on in your connection. That will be different for everyone. So take the messages as they resonate. But there's definitely something about cool your emotions. Get grounded within yourself. Find your truth. Find your own inner self. Get stable within yourself. And then speak from your heart's truth. I think that's it, pile 3. Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me read your cards. I know that these were not the most lovey-dovey, nicest energies, but this is probably something that you needed to hear. And if you're still here watching, then you probably, hopefully, were able to absorb these in a way that can serve you. As per usual, feel free to leave me a comment down below letting me know how this resonated, as it means everything to me to know how my readings land on the other side of the screen. And also feel free to leave a like and subscribe, as that really helps with the algorithm. And thank you again so much for being here, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.